Good morning, Raptor freaks. Alexiot's here after a loss to the Utah Jazz last night. Another disappointing close loss. Uh, we have been losing games very in like I wouldn't say humiliating way, but just a extremely disappointing way because it seems like we're so close and we just don't win. And I'm just, it's really frustrating. Like our margin of error right now is really weird because listen, we won amazing things in this game last night. Like did so good in certain ways. Like I want to start with the team stats because they really talk about the game last night was really weird. As Fred put it in his interview after the game, the Raptors actually won 3 out of the 4 quarters against the Jazz last night. We outscored them in 3 out of the 4 quarters pretty much. Like we did a really good job. But we still ended up losing, partly because of the way we started once again. When we start so poorly right at the beginning, we can't make any baskets, and the other team jumps to a lead, it really kills us. And it really was the size of the Jazz that hurt us at the beginning of the game with Kessler getting so many blocks so early. That was already like, once again, we start the game down and we have to make it up as the game goes on. And then this game also was a Western Conference style high scoring game. And that didn't help us either. That, them averaging around 30 points a quarter didn't help us at all because once again, we just don't have firepower to match up with those kind of teams offensively. We just don't make it up. It's like Fred said after the game also, it's like we can get way more shots than them, but if we don't make enough of them, we will not win. And that's the crazy thing. If you get 27 more shots than the other team, you would think you win. You got 27 more field goal attempts than the other team. You should win because you have worked so hard to make those extra 27 shots that you still don't win. That's the craziest thing about this team is they're busting their ass and they're playing their ass off and they're still losing. Isn't that crazy? It really was, in some ways, the margin of error was the free throw line. The easiest part of like covering your ass, the free throw line. We were shooting 57% at the free throw line during the game for the most of the game. We closed it up a little bit by the end and shot 69%, but we missed 8 free throws. We lost by 3. If the Jazz make the 4 free throws they miss and we make all 8 of ours, we still win by 1. So the free throw shooting is just horrible, and it really pisses me off because, listen, you guys work your ass off, and the easiest part that you need to cover that will get you the win is the part that you're fucking up on. The free throws, the second chance points, like we got a defensive rebound, and I did not like the way Nick did the rotations last night. Really stupid in some ways. Like he should have Precious out sooner in the fourth quarter because they were absolutely killing us on the boards with Thad Young out there. I like that he played Koloko. I think we should have played more of Koloko. In fact, in last night, if we were going to have to fucking dust off Khem Birch and bring him back in the fucking rotation, somehow fucking play him, Nick. Actually, I'm calling him right now. Fuck this shit. I'm pissed. Fuck this shit. Hello, Nick. Yeah, this is Raptors Freak. I'm pissed, man. Why are you not playing Khem Birch against a 7-foot lineup that is killing us down low? That you just need physicality. You just need some big beef to throw around some weight against these guys like Kessler. Why are you not playing Khem Birch? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you not playing Khem Birch at this point? Is he hurt on the down low? Is there a problem with him? What is wrong with Khem Birch? Why can you not play him against a 3-center lineup? Because seriously, that really killed us last night. How easily they got shots down low, and they could do whatever the fuck they wanted. If anything, he could clear space and make it easier for guys to get a lane to get a path to the basket. I mean, come on. Play Khem, Nick. Jeez. All right, fine. Oh, jeez. I'm just saying, like, why is he not playing Khem Birch? The mystery of Khem Birch right now is killing me. It's like they played 3 centers. Kelly Olynyk, Walker Kessler, whatever the fuck his name is, and Lauri Markkanen. And they 3 guys taller than anybody else in our lineup. And we could not find any period of time. You played Delano last night. Oh my gosh. I was so happy to see Delano get out there. And he was fine. He actually had one of the best plus minuses on the team last night. But where the fuck was Khem Birch last night in a big battle against big boys? You need a big boy out there to throw some weight. Why would you not play Khem Birch last night? At least just a little bit. Oh my gosh, I'm so pissed about that. Like I really was mad about the rotations. So listen, we get more shots on the field goal, 27 more. We out rebound them. We get 25 offensive rebounds to their 13. That is incredible. That normally means you won. We got 11 steals to their 3 steals. That usually means you won. We got 8 turnovers to their 16 turnovers. That usually means you won. There's so many team stats that we won last night that any other team, you could win like 2 or 3 of those stats and you would have won the game. But because of certain things about our team, and that is a poor shooting percentage and not being able to make threes and not being able to make free throws, you lose by 3 points in a game that close. Raptors. And I am pissed. I'm honestly pissed about the one last night. I really am. Because listen, you got a rookie head coach, you got a rookie center, and you got a rookie fucking team that just got thrown together, mishmash from last offseason because of a bunch of big trades, and they're fucking doing this shit. They have their shit figured out better than we do. What the fuck is wrong with us? Seriously. What the fuck is wrong with us? We have got to get this figured out. Oh my gosh. Some way, somehow, there's going to be a change. And there's an article on ESPN this morning that is basically a bunch of writers put together, and they're saying these are trades we'd like to see at the deadline. And guess what? Out of the 6 trades, the Raptors are involved in 3 of them. So I want to go over them real quick just for a second, and I will get you guys comments. I apologize for not looking at you guys yet, but I just want to have – there's a lot I want to get off my chest first before we start this. The first deal they're proposing is a deal proposed by Andre Snellings of ESPN, I guess. He's saying that we should trade Fred and Malachi to the Bulls for Lonzo Ball and Kobe White. Now, that's basically a point guard swap, obviously, just point guards involved, and we would get Lonzo. Now, I don't understand this. Lonzo is having trouble just walking right now. Like, there's something wrong with him. Some people have been joking, well, Lonzo came to Toronto. Dr. Mckecknie could probably fix him and get him ready to be able to play. But I don't know. I don't like this deal because, first of all, Fred is way more better than either one of those 2 guys. And as much as Kobe White may be better than Malachi, I still don't like it, especially since Lonzo's hurt all the time. Now, it'd be nice for Fred because he'd be going home to be in his home state and play in that building. And then like this guy Andre's saying, that the Bulls may be able to give him the deal that he's wanting, like more than we will be able to, as far as money wise and balancing things. So that's one deal that's being proposed right now. I think it's stupid. They won't do it. This next deal that they're saying is proposed by Tim McMahon, and it's with the Grizzlies. And they're saying we basically trade OG for Danny Green, Zaire Williams, and 3 first-round picks. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. All right, why do we want Danny Green back, first of all? I mean, I understand he's one of our champions. He's a good shooter, but he's very old, and he's been hurt a lot in recent years, and he's not like – and what would we get from this? I mean, I'm not even sure about Zaire Williams. He may be a pretty decent player, but this doesn't seem like we're anywhere near like the level of developed up talent from what we're getting from the Grizzlies compared to what we're giving them for OG. And it's basically like, okay, we're helping them get closer to a championship, but what the fuck? Okay, we get first round picks. I don't value this. So like, once again, I don't like this deal. And this seems kind of crazy. All it does is help the Grizzlies get better to be able to win a championship. The third deal is put forth by Kevin Pelton, and he is saying that it would be with Phoenix, and we would trade Pascal to Phoenix to get DeAndre Ayton, Dario Saric, and a first-round draft pick. And it's kind of complicated. There's a couple first-round draft picks and then a swap pick also. But it'd just be SIAKAM straight up for Ayton and Saric and some draft picks. Now, the interesting thing about this deal is we'd get a center and we'd get a little bit more size, and we'd also get draft picks. And I'm going to say something right now about SIAKAM. He's pissing me off right now. Like, look, I understand he has so much of a workload on him and that we really lean into him, but I don't like this. We don't need to be leaning into him so heavily in some ways. And he's just not effective enough. Like, listen, I like it that he's nonchalant in some ways, but I don't like how he's nonchalant in some ways. Like, he's kind of like, I just do my thing and it'll all work out because God has it planned. Well, motherfucker, you make it work out on your own. You take control of things. Don't just leave it up to God. You fucking put your will on the game out there and you make it more that you are deciding things instead of just leaving it up to God. Because I did all the work, it'll work out on the court. Nah, dude. The best ones in the game make it happen themselves. They don't leave it up to God. So I'm sick of this, SIAKAM. You've got to get more determined and more executing of what you do out on the court. There's way too much half-ass shit that you're just kind of throwing the ball up and stuff like that. I want to see you execute. I want to see you be this killer out there. Right now, I feel like you're too nonchalant. And in some ways, it was showing to me earlier this season when, listen, I understand this is an individual stat and it's not that important in some ways, but it is. The Kyle Lowry hunting of the triple doubles makes it show that you're focused, in tune with the game, and that you're paying attention, and that you can go and get this stuff. And you want to have many goals in the game. SIAKAM, I don't feel like you have many goals in the game. I feel like you're just out there doing whatever. You're just floating with the game. And as the number one primary person for our team, we can't have you be like that. In fact, I want somebody else to step up and be the number one. If you can be nonchalant, because I really do feel like you're nonchalant to a degree with how you operate out there. And I just want you to become more focused and more determined and more executing as far as you have the ability to force your will on the game better than God will. So you go ahead and you do it instead of leaving it up to God that all work out because you did the work. No, this is the next level you want to get to. You're going to have to do this, SIAKAM, because I'm sick of it. I don't want you to be our number one option anymore if you're not going to fucking take this more seriously and have a killer instinct, because you don't. You are not reliable. You are not a bucket. You're not a bucket, bro. And there were a couple things I liked about what you did last night. You were finding Gary last night. There was one very beautiful play where you drew all the attention and kicked it to Gary real quick, and he hit a very good open three. And once again, we saw Gary do a clutch basket at the buzzer. At the end of one of the quarters, he hit a big three right at the buzzer. And that's what I'm telling y'all, that this man is the man who should be taking the last second shots because he is money. He is a bucket. And that is the difference between what SIAKAM's out there doing, 50% throwing it up in the air and just hoping it goes in, and then Gary Trent's going in because he's making it. He's a bucket. And I'm sorry, I'm really down on SIAKAM right now. He's pissing me off because he misses free throws. He's half-assed and nonchalant about what he's doing out there. And I know he's exhausted is half of it too. But that's partly Nick's fault too. And once again, we had tired guys and we didn't do the right kind of rotating in some ways. All right, I had to get all my rants out of the way. So yeah, looking at the team stats, we won a bunch of them. And normally if you win the ones that we won, you would win the game. But not in this case because of the way things are. So it is what it is. All right, let me get into y'all's comments. Sorry for not reading them yet until now. I just want to make sure I said some of the stuff I want to say already. Kareem Thomas is here first in the morning. Good to see you, Kareem, a great Raptor freak. People calling for Fred and OG to be traded are straight up fuckboys. Just know you trade your homegrown pieces, you will send a message to your newest pieces. Example, Scotty. Loyalty goes a long way. I mean, I agree with this to a degree, but also at the same time, this is a business. And in some ways, Scotty may see it as like, we're not doing very well. Will y'all do something in the front office? And that if they do make a deal, then he'll be like, okay, they are invested in trying to win. And if they do a really good deal and it does improve the team, well, that will increase confidence in our team front office with Scotty. And that's what we might need to do right now is forget about showing loyalty to people. We might need to show Scotty that we're not afraid to make tough decisions and make moves to improve the team so that he can have the best team around him. And in some ways, I think that may be more important in instilling confidence in the team for Scotty than what you're saying, Kareem. is that he doesn't want this team to be like, all right, kind of like this. He wants to win. He's pissed right now. He does not want to lose like this. That article that was shared yesterday is very clear about this, that Scottie gets really mad when he loses. And that is the thing that I'm worried about the most about why he would leave, is because we all of a sudden become this bad team and we're sub 500 for a couple of years during his rookie contract. And then he's like, yeah, I just got to get the fuck out of that losing in Toronto. So it is really, really important that we win. And I'm telling you, if these guys can't get their fucking shit together in this core, then they got to go. And, people on ESPN are saying, like, look at this month we got coming up. Kareem, you said this was one of the easiest months of our schedule in February. Well, if we don't perform in this month and have a winning month this month, we are definitely blowing this shit up to a degree. I'm not saying totally tearing it down and blowing it up completely. I'm just saying we're sending guys somewhere. We're just going to have to, because this is just too much fuckery and fucking up with shit. Like, I can say, like, all right, December, I can handle this. November wasn't great either. In January, what the fuck? I'm like, all right, I'll have a little bit more patience, but I'm getting sick of this shit. I really, really am. Because a lot of these games that we've lost recently have been within 5. And they're not the kind of games we should be losing. And there's just a little bit of little things. Like I said, the margin of error is so small for between us winning and us losing, and we're not making it up. We're just that close. It's like we work so damn hard and we're that fucking close, and we just can't close the deal. So messed up. So messed up. Isaac's here. Good to see some love in the air from Isaac Campbell. You know what? I got a friend here. I want to ask for something real quick this morning. All right. Hey, Justin, I know you're not a groundhog, but you are related to groundhogs, right? You're a rodent, right? They're rodents. Okay, listen, that guy in New England, Phil, Puxatani Phil or whatever, did he get up and see his shadow this morning? Oh, really? Oh, man, does that mean there's going to be more winter? Oh, fuck you. Get out of here, Justin. You're my son. God, man, fuck that. All right, he was just giving us a report. The groundhog did see his shadow this morning. So if you believe in old German folktales, then yeah, there's 6 weeks more of winter coming towards us. Anyway, that just because it's Groundhog Day. Tom's saying, hit job successful. Total garbage that we ended another game with Spicy fouled out. Way to go, Fred. Yeah, I mean, listen, SIAKAM fouling out like that has been pissing me off too. But in a way, I'm kind of like, this is good, because I don't want him taking the shots at the end of the game because of what I was just talking about. That he's not efficient, he's not effective, he's not a bucket. And in some ways, Siakam fouls out. I'm like, this is great. It's like the opposite. The way I felt about it was like, okay, great. He can't fuck us up, is kind of how I was thinking about it. Yeah, it's not that I'm a Siakam hater. I'm just really, really not happy with what he's doing out there. And I feel like he cares, but he doesn't care in the right way. And that's part of the problem with our team right now, because he's the number one. He's the franchise player. He's the leader. And he's not good at it in certain ways because he's a casual in some ways. And this is the thing that he's got to figure out and get to come to grips with. In some ways, you give it up to God, that's fine. But you need to make sure you make up the part that is, that you can handle or you can take care of. Because there's too much, I think you're just giving up to God and hoping, it'll all sort out because I'll give it up to God. I'm like, fuck that, Pascal. Give it up to yourself. And make it happen yourself. I mean, seriously, God will help you. And you're right. You're right. Give it up to him. But you have to do the work. You have to be the part that makes it happen. And you're not doing that in some ways. I won't say it's a hit job last night. Now, let me go over the refs real quick. Bill Kennedy was interesting last night. At the very beginning of the game, he was an asshole, and he fucked us over with momentum at the beginning. So there was a little bit of a ref hit job at the very beginning with a couple of manipulative calls that kind of hurt our stepping out into the game and getting a good start going. Later on, it was Schwab. That motherfucker, I really hate Brandon Schwab, the third ref, the second-year ref out there. He is snarky, and he calls some bullshit calls, and he was fucking us over later in the game. Aaron Smith was fantastic the whole game. He's been a great ref to us the whole season, and I really appreciate him. And Bill Kennedy made up for the beginning of the game at the end of the game by doing crazy shit like reviewing for a flagrant right at the end of the game to try and give us a chance to get free throws and the possession right at the end of the game. And if he had determined that that was a flagrant with Gary's 3-point shot with Kessler, that we could have had a good chance to steal that game right at the end, because Gary's money at the free throw line. He hit all 3 of those free throws. And if it had been a flagrant, as Kennedy wanted to look at, we would have gotten possession and had a huge good chance to win the game. It's crazy how much at the end of the game, we manufacture points so quickly with so little bit of time with this foul stuff, and then scoring real quick, like Precious attacking the rim and dunking it, stuff like that. Why can't we fucking do this the whole game? We make so many points in the last minute of the game to hurry up and just try and make it's like not doing the work on a project the whole time that you have for it. And then right at the last day, you're cramming all the work in the last hour to try and get the project in correctly. And usually that's not good. And that's how it feels with what the Raptors are doing in games. It's like they're loafing, or they don't give a shit, or they don't play very well. And then they try and make up for their mistakes at the very end in a very quick way at the very end of the game. And that's just no good. You can't do that. You got to limit your mistakes throughout the whole entire game so that the whole body of work adds up to you winning, because there's mistakes that y'all could fucking clean up that would make this a win. It's just this simple. You make fucking 5 more of your free throws that you miss. You make 5 out of the 8 that you missed, or even 4 out of the 8 you missed. You win last night, Raptors. So you lose this game at the free throw line, and you also lose it on offensive rebounds going out to a 3-point shooter, and bam, they're hitting a dagger. Jordan Clarkson, really bad at the end of the game. Markkanen hitting threes at the end of the game off of second chance shots. That's horrible. Those are 2 things that killed us the most. Free throw misses and not taking care of the defensive rebounds in an important time, because Thad is in the game instead of Precious. At the end of the fucking game in the fourth quarter, Precious is on the bench. Nick, you got to do a better job of using your personnel and understanding what their different skills are. You had some good success when Koloko was out there and he was battling with them with height, and we needed to play him more. Why don't you play him more? Why did you not play Khem Birch? Oh my gosh. I could sound like a broken record about Khem Birch for 2 years now. Why the fuck aren't you playing him? So yeah, I can't say it's a hit job, Tom. I really can't. Even though Spicy filed out, I can't say it's a hit job. Now, Fred, yeah, way to go. Freddie getting his second career triple-double ever, and it's against the Jazz once again. There's something about that team that he does really well against. And this is the weird thing. What the fuck? We're playing against 3 centers, 7-foot guys, and they get all the rebounds. And what is Fred doing? He's doing 2 different things. He's getting in there, mixing it up, and stealing rebounds for us. What did Fred get for rebounds last night? He's my number 1 star, by the way. He got 12 rebounds last night and 10 assists, 34 points for a triple-double. Not only that, a lot of the shots that Fred made during most of the game were near the basket. He gave us a whole showcase of his neat little moves and flipping up layups around huge tall trees and making it go in. It was almost like the extra tall guys made it like Fred's like, look, y'all aren't going to deal with something that I normally deal with, because y'all are going to get blocked because these guys are taller than us. Well, this is something I'm always used to. So let me show you guys how you finish in traffic with a bunch of 7-footers around you with layups. And he put on a real show. It was fantastic. And I was like, oh my gosh, Fred's cooking, because he could just go into the lane and he's like flipping it. And he's really putting really interesting spin on the balls when he's doing it from different angles, and just really expert, crazy ass shots that were fantastic. Fred was so amazing last night. Near the basket, rebounding, passing, hitting very important threes late in the game. He had 4 threes last night, but 3 of them happened in the last 3 minutes of the game to really keep us going and keeping us close to hope for us to win. But yeah, Fred was fantastic. 6 of 6 at the free throw line, 12 of 25 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3-point range. Just all-around great game by Fred at +2 with 34 points. I really, really like it. And I hate that we waste a triple-double effort by Fred VanVleet in a loss. My second star for the game last night is Scotty Barnes. He got a double-double, 18 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and 7 of 23 from the field. He could have shot better, obviously, but a lot of those misses were crazy-ass putbacks that he was missing near the basket with all those big guys around him. It was really, really hard for our guys to score near the rim. The only guy who was good at it was Fred, which is crazy. And Scotty, but the thing I loved about Scotty was he never gave up. He was really pissy and like angry and really throwing his weight around down there with Kessler. And that one play where they were both jumping up and down and Kessler blocked him, that was really frustrating. But that was a real testament to just how great these young guys are as far as their bounce and being able to jump and jump and jump. They jumped like 3 or 4 times at each other at that possession. And Scotty was relentless. I just love his drive. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the difference, Siakam. You see what Scotty is doing with his determination and how hard he is trying to put that ball in the basket. That's the difference I'm talking about, man. Like you could get leadership from Scotty in this area, Pascal. Because this is determination. This is just like, I'm fucking going to make this no matter what. And even if he didn't make it, the effort, you saw it on the court, and you're just like, holy shit, he's trying his ass off. Because Scotty really did. And I'm so proud of him for that. But yeah, double-double for Scotty. It was not bad at all. 7 and 23. Could have shot way, way better. He didn't miss any of the free throws, though. He was 2 for 2 at the free throw line. 18 points. My third star is Chris Boucher off the bench. And once again, this is a similar kind of thing. My 3 stars of the game all provided energy and important things to help us win. And the running of the floor for Chris Boucher and just being in transition and being a target to hit with dunks and transition was fantastic. Chris did it a couple times in the first half, and then he did it even later in the second half a couple times too. You were fantastic, Chris, running the floor, making yourself available as a target in transition to get easy dunks for us. I loved all that stuff that Chris did, and throw in a couple of timely 3 in there also later in the game. Chris, 7 of 9 from the field, 5 rebounds, 16 points. Yeah, Boucher, good job. So those are my 3 stars: Van Vleet, Barnes, and Boucher. Now, Precious wasn't that bad either. He was 6 of 8 from the field, 5 offensive rebounds for him. I mean, it's insane. These offensive rebound numbers are crazy. Scotty himself had 9 offensive rebounds, 5 for Precious and Pascal each. That's fantastic. Siakam had a double-double, but once again, I look at his stat line and I'm just like, dude, this is the bare minimum of what you should be doing. You could be doing so much better. You were 9 of 22 from the field. First of all, that's not the best shooting. You missed half of your free throws, 3 of 6. So I could get really mad at you for that. 5 offensive rebounds, 10 rebounds altogether, 5 assists, 3 turnovers, and he fouled out, a -8 for the game. The worst plus minus on our team, 21 points. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of stat autopsy points to Siakam as being the deficiency in the problem why we lost last night. And I know some people would be like, why can you fucking point one finger at one person? Well, in some ways I will in this case, because he's the leader and he has the responsibility to carry the team to winning. And he's still not being like the scoring leader in the games or anything. He's not stepping up big enough to counterbalance the secondary guy on the other team. Jordan Clarkson had 23, he had 21. So we need you, Siakam, to step up and be the man and be more aggressive. Randolph Phillips is here this morning. Good morning, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Blessings, blessings, blessings on a Thursday. We need those blessings. Raptors Nation is in a tough place. We're crazy right now. Like Isaac Campbell said, he can't go look at other people's content right now because it's just too negative. It's just too not fun to look at. And I agree. And maybe I'm being a little negative this morning, but I'm venting to a degree. And I do love Pascal. And I'm so happy he's a Raptor to a degree, but I can also be constructively criticizing him and maybe pointing out the things that he could possibly do a little better. Oh my gosh. Randolph saying just what we need in times like this. Lots of head scratching last night. Yeah. It's interesting what's going on with the Jazz. They really do have a great young center. That Kessler kid is fantastic. And it's kind of weird. Somebody pointed this out on Twitter last night that they look like each other, the center and the coach. They look like kind of the same. They look like they could be brothers, Will Hardy and Walker Kessler. But yeah, some people are also saying this. It's like, well, he got picked at the 20th pick by the Jazz, or like right around there, 22nd or something. And we traded our pick, was originally there. We traded it in the Thad Young for Goran Dragic deal that we could have drafted Kessler instead of Koloko. Well, once again, this is woulda, coulda, shoulda, and we shouldn't play these kind of games. It's stupid. We did what we did, and we got what we got. And I'm very happy with Koloko. But yeah, Kessler seems like he's very far along for a big man rookie. Like, this is crazy how much he's so far along in the NBA. There's not really a development curve with him. It seems like he's already an astute starting center that can do everything already. And that's really weird to me. A lot of people are saying he's better than Gobert already for Utah. I think Jazz fans would agree with that. It's not seeing Rudy Gobert out there anymore frustrating their asses and seeing a very capable Walker Kessler dominating and doing all kinds of good stuff. Yeah, I think they're very happy with their offseason last year and very happy that Danny Ainge is in charge. Yeah, man, it's so annoying. That game last night really did annoy me. Out of all these losses on this road trip, this is the one that pissed me off the most because I saw how close we were to winning it. Rick Glazer's here. Good to see Rick. 9 of our next 12 opponents have a record of 500 or below. In my eyes, if we're ever going to make a final push for the playoffs, this is it. Now or never, Toronto. Yeah, I think this is very, very astute and for real. I mean, we've kind of been saying this each month so far this season. Well, this is now or never. We got to do this. Well, what point is it really now or never? Because it's just too late in the season to make up the ground. Well, I think in a lot of ways, Rick's right. That if we don't have a winning month this month, like if we're not above 500 at least, if not like even better, like we should win most of the games, we're in big trouble. We're not going to get anywhere this season. And we should count out maybe even the play-in because we're not making ground up on the outside of the play-in either. In fact, we're falling further and getting closer to Detroit and Orlando. And I hate that. I hate that so much. And I want to start going up in the right direction. And Rick's right. If we don't write things in this month, fuck it. We're fucked for this season. Trust me. Because this is the easy month. Like Kareem said, this is an easy month yesterday. And yeah, he's right. And if we don't start winning these games around the All-Star break, we get a homestand when they come back. They're going to be at home right across the All-Star break. So we stay home up until the All-Star break, and then our first couple of games after the All-Star break are at home also. And these are teams that are sub 500, like Rick said. So we need to take care of business. And if we don't, well, then we're going to be making some trades. I'm sorry. There's going to be a trade, at least one big trade, if we do not look better soon and quickly. Omari's saying Walker Kessler, Texas Ranger, was Akeem Olajuwon yesterday. That's hilarious, Omari. Yeah, I mean, seriously. Put an H on the front of Walker Kessler's first name because he was looking like Olajuwon out there. Yeah, he was in some ways. I don't know if it's like the spin stuff. He has some flaws, but we just, we're not really making a game plan for how we can get at his flaws. But yeah, there was so many stupid things that we were doing out there that I was just like, why are we fucking doing the hard way? And I'm like, why? And then all this stuff near the basket, part of it is too, and this is true, the referees are very, very much letting people play right now. That there's not a lot of foul whistles. There's not a lot of free throws being called, and they're picking and choosing when they do it, and they're letting a lot go. There's a lot of big-time physicality underneath the basket that is happening when we're on our offensive end, and we're just trying to put the ball in the basket like bunnies, and they're hitting us, and we're not getting any calls or anything like that. That's the part of the reason why we're missing these easy shots is because they're fouling us, and they're not calling them. And that's kind of fucked up. And that pisses me off in some ways. It's like, sure, you can say their defense is really good. And these big guys, he got a lot of blocks within the first 5 minutes of game, Kessler. But it's also, they're fouling us and the refs aren't calling shit. Because I'm sorry, you can't miss so many close shots to the rim without people hitting you or fouling you on the down low. I'm sorry. These guys are professionals. Sure, I saw Scotty at the Clorox Rising Stars thing or whatever last year, shooting stars. He missed all those close shots, and he did miss a couple of those kind of shots last night. But still, there's too much missing by all those guys around there. Then there's a lot of elbows. There's a lot of undercutting. There's a lot of like physicality that's not getting called because the refs are letting them play. And that's a big part of why we look so shitty near the rim. But they got to finish. Now, talking about that, I want to say when Christian came out there, the bucket that Christian made was fantastic. Because, listen, you know what he did? He took it to the rim and dunked it. And he was in this situation in this game where he could see how hard it was to finish close to the rim. And he knew as soon as he got the ball in that moment that he's going to have to go up hard and throw it down. And he did. And thank God he did that, because most of the season, Christian's been playing on his feet and not leaving his feet. And at some point, the Pascal or somebody told him, you got to jump, bro. You need to get in the air and dunk it instead of trying to just lay it up. This isn't Arizona. You're not in college anymore where everybody's shorter than you and you just kind of flip it up and put it in without leaving your feet. You need to leave your feet and use your full length and height and get up there and dunk it. And Christian was way more active in trying to do that kind of stuff in this game last night. And I love that development. That is a bright spot, seeing the aggressiveness of Christian to jump up and dunk it. And because he hadn't been doing that all season. And he's learning it at 905. He's doing it more down at 905 already. And he's already applying it on the main roster level. So that's fantastic development. And thank you, Christian, for giving me a little bit of a bright spot last night, seeing you go and throwing it down on them, on top of them. That's really good. Fun guy saying, only reason I smoke is to enjoy Raptors basketball. So yesterday officially quit for me. But hey, maybe we make the real playoffs and I get back at it, hoping to lose tomorrow and rest of the season because, All right. So in some ways, Fun Guy's thrown his hands up on the season. And, he, in some ways, yeah, okay, we lost. This is great. This is great for our draft pick. This is great for the tanking people in our fan nation, the people that want us to lose so we can get a good draft pick this year. So, hey, we're winning and losing. Wow, what? Well, great. I hate it still. I still hate it. I still feel like we should have won last night. And it pisses me off. Now, you're saying you quit smoking weed right now? This is making me think like that airplane part where the guy's in the air traffic controller, Lloyd Bridges, he says, this is the worst week for me to quit drinking. This is the worst week for me to quit sniffing glue. That whole part from Airplane. You know what I'm talking about? And so this is the worst week for you to quit smoking marijuana or cannabis if it's helping you with issues with losing on the Raptors. So, no, you maybe want to rethink, and maybe you can try and quit during the offseason because you need it right now. Trust me, Fun Guy. Not to endorse do drugs, or so, I don't consider it a drug, but not to endorse you to go do it. But I think maybe right now it's not the best time to quit, is what I'm saying. MSJ saying Jazz Center was named Walker Kessler. Yeah, he's a rookie, MSJ. This is his first year. He's out of Auburn. He's a brand new player. And in fact, he was a big part of this trade with Cleveland and Minnesota with Gobert and Donovan. He was part of the deal in coming to Utah. And boy, they fill that void of Gobert real easy and quick with that kid Kessler. He's something else. You never heard of him. 7 blocks and 80%. Yeah. Let's look at his stat line just real quick. We celebrate both sides. If there's excellence on the other side, we got to talk about it. 8 of 10 from the field for Kessler, 14 rebounds, 7 blocks, 17 points, a +4. Yeah, fantastic. Just phenomenal. That is a center stat line that is beautiful, honestly. Why can't the Raptors find a Walker Kessler? I had to check somewhere on this planet. We need a 7'2", 250-pound player. I mean, yeah, seriously. I mean, listen, they're hit and miss. You never know which one of these big guys will actually translate to the NBA pretty easily or quickly. Well, this guy is. And part of it may be the situation in Utah the way it is. Because, look, if he was coming into a team with a center that was more established and starting, he would be coming off the bench and he'd be a role player and he wouldn't be playing that much. But because he's thrust into the starting lineup, well, he's getting thrown to the fire and he's swimming. He's not sinking. So that's a lot of it right there. The opportunity is there for Walker Kessler in Utah because of their roster and where they're at in transition between the old regime of last year with Mitchell and Gobert and what they're trying to figure out with this new regime. Well, he's hitting the ground running. He comes in as a rookie and boom, he gets to start and he gets to do all this kind of stuff. So they're allowing him to do this. Yeah. These guys don't grow on trees. And it's not like everybody knew he'd be a slam dunk like he is right now last summer. When they did the draft, they could have hoped for it and hope for the best. And they are probably getting the best for what they hope for right now in Jazz Nation. So, yeah, it's like I knew a little bit about him at the beginning of the year, and I was wondering if he would be this good, and he is. Oh, my gosh. David S. is here. Good to see David. The Raptors can't afford to have both teams with nearly 100 points with a quarter to go. We don't have the best offense. If we score 120 points, we need to be winning these games defensively. Yeah, I'm just saying, it's like, look, you got Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley, you've got Lauri Markkanen on the other side of the court, and you've got a bench. You got Colin Sexton coming off the bench for them. There's just so many offensive weapons that are very capable on the other team, that as the game goes on, our guys will get tired because there's not as many capable guys on our team. And they have like 7 or 8 guys that are playing in rotation. I mean, Rudy Gay, he's another name you can just add on there. Malik Beasley was a big problem for us last night, 14 points. And then on our side, it's just really tough to get like a bunch of us going all at once. We did have 6 guys in double figures, but it's anemic scoring in a lot of ways, like 13 from Precious. Pascal getting 21. That's not enough from him. Scotty's okay, 18. Gary's fine with 20. Gary actually had a really good game last night. 6 of 14, 3 of 4 from 3-point range, made all 5 of his free throws, 3 steals, 20 points. Yeah, I like what Gary did. I'm not mad at him. But yeah, we just don't have enough scoring off the bench compared to other teams, and we just can't make that watermark that they're going to make by the end of the game, which is somewhere between 120 and 130 points. Yeah, we're screwed. We can't have these high scoring games. And the other teams can score at will. We have no way of shutting water off. And it could be in some ways like last year, we were such a good defensive team. Well, the league changed the rules a little bit in the offseason. Well, it's favoring the offenses. And now, like, building your team with athletic players that are defensive oriented and not as good offensively is a real problem. It really hinders your ability to win games. And this is part of what's problem with our Raptors this year, is that we're an athletic team that's not very good at shooting, that's very good at defense and hustling and stuff. But in some ways, our nuts are chopped as far as our defense at this point, because the league is evolving into a high octane offensive league. I saw a stat yesterday where our offensive efficiency is the same as like the Warriors' offensive efficiency from the championship year, the year before we won the championship. And that is crazy because we are playing really, really good then, because that's one of the best offensive efficiencies that year. Well, everybody's offensive efficiency has gone through the roof this year. And in some ways, because we were a defensive weighted team, we are in trouble in this new age of an offensive league where everything's just as much scoring as possible. You cannot clamp down a team and cut their water off for a long period of time. It's very, very difficult to do at this point. And the only reason why teams have been able to do it to us is because we're not very good offensively. And in some ways, it looks like, oh, we should be able to do this to other teams. Well, no, it's really, we kill ourselves by being really bad at shooting. And that's how they're getting such a good stoppage on us. It's not necessarily that they're playing the best defense. It's just we're missing a lot. So it's all this working together against us in some ways. It's like our roster build over the last few years is for this athletic defensive kind of look that may not work in the new offensive NBA. So we may need to pivot and make some of the moves in relation to this, what I'm talking about, as far as getting better offensively. We may need to pivot and really look at getting some real top-notch offensive players. And that may help us with our problems. We keep some of the really good premium defenders and keep some of that important stuff, but we really need ballers. We need guys that can fill up the hoop, and we need multiple ones. We can't just have Gary and Fred. We need a bunch of dudes that can do this. So yeah, it's crazy. Really, really crazy. And the way the game's going is defense is almost dead. I was like last year, I was like, yes, we're set up so good. Well, the league fucking with us, they're changing it. They're not calling as many fouls. They're taking away the defensive like physicalness that people can play with. And now, you can't build your team around defense. You're going to have to be one of these crazy offensive scoring teams that tries to keep up with the other teams. And that's the only way you can do it. Omari, the 8-second call was a brain fart. Yeah. You know what? This is indicative of Fred just being tired. It's like, dude, man, you're literally that slow that you took 8 seconds to dribble the ball up the court, half of the court. Like, you're like, I don't know what the fuck. They counted it and it was right. And Bill Kennedy was right with that call. That wasn't a ref hit job or anything inappropriate. He fucking took that long to get the ball up the court. And I'm like, holy shit, this is the antithesis of pace. This is the antithesis of Delano or Scotty rounding that ball right up the court. Fred taking his damn time and taking it to a split second too long to get an 8-second call like that. That is so crazy. And it is a brain fart, but it's also indicative of how slow he is bringing the ball up the court. Like, dude, pick up your pace. Maybe he's too tired. Nick, you need to sub him. So stupid and look bad. Really bad, careless turnovers like that. And then once again, we did see another one of these offensive flop plays where they get an offensive foul, and that's a turnover. and he didn't even barely touch him. It's so stupid. Bill Kennedy, you're fucked for calling that one. That Jazz player fell over off of Fred. Fred did not push him. And we get the ball turned over. What can you do? Oh my gosh. Name was saying it's dumb. We have all these players that can't shoot free throws. How do you have a full roster like that? Well, it isn't all of them. There are particular guys that are like guilty culprits normally. And last night, let's really call them out. Precious, Chris, and Pascal. Everybody else made perfect. Fred, Gary, and Scotty, they made perfect. They were 13 for 13. Now, those other three guys were 5 of 13. So they missed the 8 free throws. 2 missed by Chris, 3 missed by Precious, 3 missed by Pascal. And that's the thing. They're not even shooting 50%. I mean, Pascal is 3 for 6, but Precious 1 for 4. Boucher 1 for 3. And those killed us. Those missed free throws really killed us. So it's like we can say who it is, but it's certain guys. And Siakam's not been shooting free throws very well in the last month. That's another reason why I've been down on him, because he's going to shoot most of our free throws. He's got to make them. Siakam, you can't be fucking around at the free throw line. You can't be nonchalant. That's what I'm saying, Siakam. You cannot be nonchalant anymore. You need to be very serious about your life right now, because this team that you're leading is going to change very soon. And if you don't like that, you have a path in making this destiny for you. You go ahead and fucking make your destiny by not being so nonchalant and forcing what you want at this point in your life, whether it's a basket or to keep your friends on the team together, because you're in danger of losing those things because you're not being serious enough. Siakam, I'm serious. You're not being serious enough in some ways. There's a certain element of seriousness that you lack. And it may be partly because you came to competitive sports later in life. I don't know what it is. I just want you to get more of an eye of the tiger and care and really focus it through your body in effective ways so that it matters. You should be smarter and more savvy at this point. Seriously, dude. Let's keep going. Isaac saying, call after his piano session. All right, call them. And I'm just, that was the whole thing. I just wanted to talk about Khem Birch. Like, seriously, there's a 3-center starting lineup. Why aren't you not playing Khem Birch? That's a question that should haunt you today, Nick Nurse. Is there something wrong with Khem? Can y'all just publicly tell us that Khem can't play because his knees are messed up, and stop fucking sitting him there and close to play and fucking telling us that he's, you're not telling us anything. I just see a guy that I know will help us, and you're not using him. And that's a coaching fail. Randolph saying Nick Nurse's comments on OG's being ruled out and him being confused is disturbing. He's the head coach. If head office is keeping him out of the loop, something is wrong. I think it's not exactly like that, Randolph. I think it's just that he knows this. He saw OG get hurt. They did preliminary x-rays. They all came back negative, which is good. And there's no break. There's no structural damage. But to be careful and precaution, they're going to wait and let him see a specialist here in Toronto. Now, to me, it's like, well, why don't they just get ahead and send him home and get him seeing the specialist right away to speed things up? And like that maybe Nick is like, okay, McKecknie's maybe didn't tell him that he doesn't want him to play anymore. I don't know if this is OG's decision. This is Alex McKecknie. So it could be that Alex McKecknie is not being clear to Nick. And that's where the lines of communication there aren't exactly right. Now, OG did shoot around before the game yesterday. He was shooting a lot before the game, and everybody's taking that as a weird thing. It's like he's out there shooting and working out. Is he going to be coming back soon? But no, he's still not going to play in these next 2 games. But who knows? He may come back, and they may be like, you can play against San Antonio next Wednesday. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how this goes with things as far as OG. But yeah, it is confusing. But, once again, Nick can't stay on top of every single thing. And sometimes the injury stuff is something that he finds out later or he doesn't know exactly right away. So, yeah. Click saying this shit's done. I'm waiting for next Thursday. Yeah, he just wants to see the trade deadline and see what happens. I understand, Click. I mean, I understand. You've been hanging in there. And, I know you've been feeling really pessimistic about us for a while. And you've been kind of just giving more and more chances. And you're getting more and more let down as time goes on. I know it's tough. It's not easy to be a sports fan of teams sometimes. And right now is that case for a Raptors fan. It's just how it is. It's got to be that way sometimes. Tom Duke saying, Randolph, 100%. That definitely was a weird one. And those guys you mentioned pass to each other, continue that garbage. Dot pass. Mention dot pass to each other, continue that garbage. Not passing. Mention not passing to each other. Yeah. I saw a little bit more connection between Gary and Pascal last night that I was happy that they're not totally freezing each other out. And there was some good teammate bonding kind of things between them. So I'm not pushing that any further because they've shown to me that there isn't a problem. So what my concern was a couple days ago about SIAKAM and Gary and whether they're freezing each other out, it's over because I saw Pascal kick it out to Gary and he got that 3. And then I also saw them like giving it to each other, like Gary gave it to Pascal. It's just that they're not passing it to each other very often. And there was one moment where Gary was open and Pascal could have hit him for a shot, and he didn't. He forced it up against a double team. But for the most part, I can see that they're connected and everything's cool. That I may have been overreacting. It's just that bad fast break where Gary tried to slam it and SIAKAM was right behind him. That was a fuck up. And then also, once again, we're getting like 3-on-1 breaks and we're not making the shot. Like, that's so fucked up. There was that one play where Delano was there and they were all 3 of them were right there and they ended up defending it. Like 3-on-1 break, we have the advantage and we don't convert. There's some real problems with this with our team. It's like transition man advantages should be a bucket every time. And it's not happening in really weird ways. I thought Delano, when he came in, actually boosted us. We started winning. We started outscoring them and doing some good stuff with Delano out there. So I was really happy to see Delano be out there when the team was actually doing really well. So I was happy about that. Good morning to Cool Cat. Joining late, I should go back to the beginning. Keep Pascal, OG, Scotty Precious as our defensive anchor. OG as shooting guard gives him more offensive touches. Yes. All right. Yeah, I like all those guys as let's see, Pascal, OG, Scotty, and Precious as our defensive anchor. OG as shooting guard gives him more offensive touches. Yeah, so she's leaving out Gary. She's saying basically like if somebody's gonna get traded, maybe it should be Gary Trent. And then we shift Precious in the starting lineup, and OG becomes our new shooting guard. That's not a bad look, and I don't hate that at all. It's just once again we get rid of the one guy who's really good in money and clutch and like a bucket. And I don't know. This is so complicated and like because of so much noise in our fan nation and so much everything going on, it's really hard to suss out what the right decision is. I really don't envy Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri right now because they have a lot of different ways they could step, and there's ways that they could really fuck things up if they're not smart. So they really do need to be smart in the next 2 weeks about what personnel decisions they make as far as trades or moving people and stuff. So yeah, this is going to be very interesting. At least it's not going to be boring. Let's just put it that way. It's not going to be boring, and hopefully they do it. They make some sort of move, and boom, after the All-Star break, we are killing it because we really do need a kick in the ass. We need a kick in the ass as some sort of way. And before I was like, okay, let's keep this core. But I think the kick in the ass is the reality of the business of the NBA and that people can get traded if you don't perform. In some ways, I was like, all right, let's give them leeway. Let's let them have time to figure it out. Well, that's not happening. And what we need to do is maybe a kick in the ass. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what happens. I'm a fun guy saying I was betting Nick was going to be gone within 2 years. But, man, this guy might not even make the end of the year. Can't blame players when your coach can't adjust and play bigger guys when being dominated. I know. It's just like, Nick, these guys are so much bigger than our guys, and they're killing us. You have other guys on the team that are big, and you can play. Like, man, I don't know if he's not going to get fired, though. That's the whole thing, though, about all this is he won't get fired. Trust me, he won't get fired, fun guy. MSJ saying small team. Okay, jumped. Hang on. I'll make sure I get all the comments. I see a lot of people are here, and I'd like to see all the different names. All right. Yeah, I'm going to make sure I get all these comments. All right, let me make sure. Holy crap, you guys did fill it up. Look, guys have a lot to say about today, and obviously it makes sense. Okay, MSJ saying small team that can't shoot with a point guard that needs to score a 40-point triple dub to win. Forget Lonzo. Jesus. This team needs a rebuild. I tend to think we end up having players walk. No trades. Nah, I don't think, even if they walk, whatever, we'll figure it out. I don't think that'll happen though. I think that they're going to be smart. And plus, a lot of times the sign and trade is better for the player anyway. Like Gary may be likely to do a sign and trade and we still trade him, but it benefits him. It benefits us. It benefits a lot of different people. Yeah, I say forget Lonzo Ball too. I don't like his game, and he's obviously injury prone. And in some ways, I don't know, he may be washed for his career just because he's having such a hard time coming back in the last 2 years from injuries. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of any of those ESPN trades that I was talking about earlier. It's just that I saw the article this morning and I went and looked at it. It's like, all right, let's see if any of the Raptors are on any of these trades. And out of the 5 trades, 3 of them had to do with us. And of course, they had to do with all different guys: Fred, Gary, or OG, and Pascal. Oh my gosh. Space Cadet saying, Fred has been carrying us for a while now. I get he's playing for a contract, and I do hope he remains here, but I wouldn't blame him if he left, given the fan discourse. Well, I really hope that none of these players are basing anything on their lives from anything from the fans. We are a bunch of noise, but that's exactly what we are. And they do have the ability to filter us out and not listen to us. Just because we're wading through all the dark cesspools of idiots on the online and in different social media places doesn't mean these guys are. Now, some of them may be, but I hope they're not doing it this year. Maybe in other years when we're winning a lot of times they may look more. But in this year, when things are so bad and going like this, that's not good for their mental health. And I really, really hope that, like I said, nobody's making these decisions because of the fans. And partly it's because, well, the fans are the same for every fan nation. So it's like they could be like, Fred could be like, no, these fans in Toronto are pissing me off and they're acting out of pocket. I want to go to Chicago. And then he shows up in Chicago and the fans are just as bad there. So in some ways, I understand why you're worried about this. And I wish we could control our fan nation to not be acting like this, but we can't. And I would just say that I don't think that they actually base anything off of us in that kind of way. So don't worry about this. I will say that. Fred wants to be here. He does. But if he doesn't want to be here, he'll probably want to go to Chicago just because it's Illinois and Rockford. But he's more likely to want to stay here still because he's still invested in being a Raptor and making us good. In fact, him and Nick may both look at what's happening with us as great challenges and for fun for them to try and overcome it and pull that out of it. And I think that that's where Fred is right now in some ways. He's not giving up on this team, and he's not like, I don't want to be on the Raptors. He definitely wants to be here. But yeah, he's been carrying us lately. Recently, he has been the guy carrying us, especially last night. He looked like he was really carrying us with all those lay-ins and then the late threes. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. Disappointing game. If yesterday didn't give a wake-up call to the front office in respect to getting legit centers, nothing will. Missed free throws hurt us. No perimeter defense at all. Arg. Yeah, Fiercey. Yeah, I mean, seriously, Bobby, golly, y'all got to see this. Look at what they got. How do these guys have 3 7-footers and they're starting them? And we can't even have one other than Koloko in the last 2 years? Come on. Yeah, hopefully, this is the thing. They see more and more like this. Now, we lose to Houston tomorrow night. This is a big, bad problem. They won last night, by the way, the Rockets. So they are feeling pretty good and they're playing pretty loose. Man, if we lose to Houston, though, that's really going to be the panic button. And we're getting closer and closer to that trade deadline. Something's going to happen. I was worried because the Raptors are in Utah last night and they have to fly to Houston today or last night. And there was a game postponed last night in the NBA. The Dallas-Detroit game was postponed because Dallas could not travel from Dallas to get to Detroit because of the weather in Texas. There's a very bad winter storm there, and they couldn't de-ice the plane for the team to make it there on time. Now, I was a little bit worried over this travel period in this day, last night to today, about them traveling to Houston because of the weather conditions in Texas. So in some ways, we may need to pay attention today to whether the Raptors are actually successfully traveling to Houston because of the weather problems with flights and stuff like that. So yeah, very interesting stuff in that way. The Raptors 905 are playing tonight at 7:30 here at Mississauga Paramount Fine Food Center, and they're playing the Cleveland Charge. The Charge have 4 representatives right now winning to be at the All-Star Weekend for the G League All-Star representation. And I hate that. But we're going to see the Charge tonight. So let me do the refs real quick for the G League game. Cleveland Charge at Raptors 9:05. Tyler Ricks is our crew chief. The referee is Kelsey Reynolds, and the umpire is Nate Anderson. So yeah, 7:30, 9:05 playing tonight. Coloco, I don't know. I don't think they turned around and sent him back just to play today. I don't think he is. I think he's still with the team going to Houston. But Jeff Dowden Jr. and Ron Harper Jr. are with the 9:05 here in Toronto. So they will be playing tonight for them, but no Coloco, obviously, because he's with the main roster still. And Delano also still with the main roster. So that's interesting stuff. All right, Click saying, y'all complain about minutes. Look at our bench. We ain't winning shit with them bums. I like Click's feistiness there. Yeah, I mean, nobody really too bad. I mean, I don't mind Scotty playing 41 minutes. We're going to be minutes police. He's a youngster. He can do 41 minutes. That doesn't bother me. But, SIAKAM got 39 and he fouled out with 3 minutes to go. That means he would have gotten 40 minutes for sure if he had continued to play. Gary 38, Fred 38, Precious 25, and Chris 20. I still think that these, he's just not creative with how he's using them. They could be way more effective, but he's just not giving them roles or giving them chances. He's not giving them opportunities. It's like as simple as like if I was him, I would have been like, Khem, we need you to go out there and just become a presence down low with your size and your weight and just take up space and just match the physicality of Kessler and Olnick and Markkanen. And keep them off the glass. Okay, coach. And then he goes out and he does that for he probably could have done some of the stuff that we needed last night. He didn't fucking use him. It's like, what the fuck, Nick? Come on, man. I mean, I think we have some bench players that are very useful. I don't think they're absolute complete shit. It's just that we're not getting anything out of them. We're just not good at cultivating anything out of their games to be helpful to contribute to a win overall. And that is really the failure of Nick Nurse in a lot of ways. Good morning to superfan Monique Lawrence. Good to see her. Good morning, everyone. 3 stars of the game and this loss. Fred, Gary, and Chris got to do better in the fourth. See, she's picking Gary, and I don't mind that. Gary was a very good shooter and with the steals. It's what we got our first points off of. Gary getting in the passing lane and getting a steal on transition, easy basket. He did that a couple times last night where he really telegraphed what they were going to do and got in the passing lane and boom, he's on his way running down the court. I love that about Gary's game. And yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Triple-double Fred, Chris Boucher, energy personified, running the court like a madman last night. Really, really good. Let's see. Forgetful saying Omens indeed. Clearly, the owl carrying off the bunny pretended the futility of this in the season, in the game of the bunny. 2 dozen missed, but more sinister is what Cougar's path into the woods was messaging. Oh my gosh. All right. Now, Forgetful is a very, very becoming one of the most interesting Raptor freaks this season. He is alluded to being into spells and casting sorcery on his farm out there. And he saw some animal wildlife that he is taking as portends or omens and things. You can see certain animals in your life, and there is a belief in the ancestors and the Aboriginal people on this land that when you see those animals, they are messages from the animal or spiritual world about something that's bound to happen. If you see a rabbit, if you see any kind of thing, if you see a mouse in your house, that even tells you something. So I don't remember exactly what all the messages are, so I can't tell you specifically. But Forgetful's reading into wildlife omens around his farm, and he's now understanding what they mean. The owl carrying off the bunny. Yeah, the owl symbolizes like watchers. It symbolizes like kind of secret society. If you see owls in Toronto in different weird places, sometimes they're put there by secret societies and stuff like that. I don't know. We're going to have to see what happens. But I think it's very interesting that you're looking for meaning in the Raptors through the animals in your yard. Kenne saying, is Wieskamp still with us? No, he's not. Kenne, we let the second 10-day expire, and he is back with the Wisconsin Herd in the G League for Milwaukee's G League team. So he is not on the Raptors again. Of course, we can always sign him again later. This is something that we did, as Mike pointed out recently, Logical Raptors Fanatic, that, with DJ Wilson, we signed him to a couple of 10 days at one point when we were having Corona and stuff. And then we signed him again later on in the season. So the opportunity to sign Joe later in the season once again is still there. So the possibilities of him returning to the team could be possible. So we'll say that, but he's officially not on the team right now. Now, in news that's related to this, similar, the Suns have gone ahead and converted Saben Lee to a two-way contract on their team. So he will not be returning to the 905. He is now with the Phoenix Suns for the rest of the season. So congratulations to Saben Lee, but it really does kind of hurt the 905 with their star power and their firepower on their team. Although in some ways I didn't really like Saben Lee on that team. So it is what it is. Space Cadet saying not having a true point guard isn't the problem. Fred has looked like a true point guard lately, and it's not correlating into wins. The problems are no center and no backup guards. I think it's like the center is sure. I wouldn't say backup guards. I would just say bench in general. Like in some ways, it is really that we just don't have any bench depth. In some ways, I was like last year we didn't have any bench depth. Well, we didn't fix any of that this season. It seemed like we might, but we really didn't. But in some ways, what is it? Is it not getting bench depth, or is just fucking Nick Nurse's coaching style that it makes it so that we don't have any bench depth? That's the thing I'm starting to wonder or worry about. Is that Nick is so starter oriented that he doesn't really cultivate things enough throughout further, like with the 9th or the 10th guy on the team, the 8th guy. These guys need to be useful and used in roles that help towards the team winning. And in some ways, you've got like 8 guys that you definitely lean on, and they're great. But then these other guys are afterthoughts, and you're not cultivating any kind of role or any kind of trust in these guys to come out and do even just specific things on the court to help us win because they have a specialty. You're not even doing that, Nick. They're just dead minutes. No scoring, no points, no stats, nothing. And I hate that. I hate that so much. You didn't play Juancho last night, which I thought was interesting that you didn't play Hernan Gomez, because you've been playing him consistently every single game. But part of the reason why I think you didn't play him is because they were playing Utah, and he played for Utah recently, and he's friends with everybody on that team. And in some ways, maybe you didn't want to put him out there just in case. He still feels friendly to Utah, and he's making a couple mistakes here and there. Not he's like that as a pro, but I thought that was interesting because at the beginning of the game, I saw Juancho palling around with the Jazz over in the corner, Rudy Gay specifically. They were talking a lot and hanging out, lots of smiles as former teammates. So, yeah, very interesting that Juancho didn't play. He didn't get in there. Very, very interesting. All right, let's see. Cool Cat saying, I'm not blaming the players. We need a center, a bench, front office, and the coaching are to blame. Expect to lose more until the issues are addressed. Yeah. I mean, it's just not adding up. I think it's a perfect storm of a couple different things. We already had a lot of these issues with our roster. They didn't get addressed. The game is evolving quickly as far as the offensive stuff I was talking about. It's leaving us behind defensively. And then also, Nick Nurse's coaching rotations and his decisions with who he's playing are really frustrating me right now. I mean, I know I've been hard on SIAKAM, but it's really that I just want him to take things more seriously in a certain way. I know I said that earlier. It's like I don't know if I can make this nuance just by saying it. It's like, do you guys understand what I'm trying to say about SIAKAM? It's not that I don't think he wants to win. It's not that I don't think that he's trying his ass off and he's not trying. It's a different kind of thing. It's a mindset kind of thing. It's a kind of thing where it's like, in some ways, he really does just give it up to God. He's just like, I just trust my path and that he'll protect me and that I will get what I'm supposed to get in life. It'll all work out because I put in the work. Well, in some ways, SIAKAM, you can't just idly wait for it to come to you because you put in the work. You need to go get it. And that is what I'm trying to say about what I want from him. And you may say, well, he's tagging the basket. He's doing his best. Yeah, but that's not going and getting it necessarily. Going and getting it is making the most effective plays to help your team win. And he's not doing that. He's not doing that well enough. He's not recognizing it well enough. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to play the blame game too much. There's a lot of blame for everybody. There's a little bit of blame for everyone. Nick, Bobby, Fred, Pascal, Scotty, Precious, all these guys have a little bit to blame in different ways. MSJ saying, Cool Cat, yes, Siakam needs a center. Yeah, it would help things so much in some ways. Troy Henry's here, and I'm still here after all that shit show last night. I'm here for healing this morning with the freaks. Thank you, Troy Henry. You've come to the right place. Listen, we're a little pissed off. We're a little frustrated. We're a little sick of this shit. And yeah, you come to the right place. At least we're going to try and do this in a positive way to try and help figure it out instead of just saying, hey, fucking suck. I hate them. And they fucking need to all get traded away. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to try and figure it out and stay positive about it. But we do need to be constructive criticism because that's the only thing that's going to help them now. We can't just be like, yeah, they're going to figure it out and magically it'll happen. I may have been like that in December. But at this point in February, I can't be like that at this point. Time's running out, and they're not getting enough improvement in the win column, enough to make up this deficit they have below 500. They're not going to make up the 500 by the end of the year in this clip of winning. They have to really turn it on and get shit going. And like Rick said earlier, this month is the time to do it. This is an easy month, and if you don't fucking do it this month, Raptors, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. We lose to Houston on Friday night. That's going to be a really big sign. And I'm like, yeah, this team sucks. We should not be losing to Houston no matter what. I don't care how good they're coming up or whatever talent or anything. That is a team that needs to lose to us no matter what tomorrow night. And if we lose to them, then I'm going to be like, yeah, you guys need to make moves right now, Bobby Webster. Before I would be like, yeah, let's give them some time and they'll figure it out. But there's something not functionally right with the Raptors at this point. And I don't think it's as simple as saying we need a center. I think there's some other things that are still problems too. Callie's here. Good to see Callie Mayer. That was a winnable game. Siakam's body language is bad. We got clobbered in the paint, yet we breathed and they got calls. Yeah. Like I said, the contact is not totally enforced the same way on both ends of the court with the referees. And this is part of what these guys are saying. It's like, you're calling this down there, but you're not calling it on our end. There's a lot of this kind of stuff going on. Siakam is tired. Last year he did a really good job of being invincible and not looking like he ever got tired. But this year, for some reason, he's looking tired. He said last year he couldn't afford to be tired. And I think in some ways, when you're winning and you're doing really well, you can really keep going and be buoyed in the winning spirit of things. But with the losing, it's dragging him down, and his winning buoyancy is not helping. So he's more dragged down and he's more lethargic and he's not as energetic and full of energy, boundless energy like he was last year. And that's the wearing down of the losing that's causing him to look like that in some ways, I think. And you could tell right at the end of the game when he fouled out, he was sitting on the bench. He was very emotional about it. And he was very unhappy because he knew they were about to lose again. And then he knows that the writing's on the wall in some ways, and he doesn't want it to be that way. I feel really strong, really bad for Siakam in some ways right now because I know he's desperately trying in some ways. But that's what I'm saying, Siakam. You got to go about it in a different way from your mindset in some ways. I don't know. Rico needs to talk to you about dog. Maybe there's something about dog that you're missing. Kyle Lowry had dog, and we want dog from you in a certain way. And maybe Rico can help you understand how to get it. He should have been doing this with you all along. I don't understand. Let's see. Forgetful saying Cougar's trail led me to a clearing between two giant white pines. A message in itself. The clearing has long evoked an image of a gathering place where sorcerers conjure over a steaming cauldron. Man, Forgetful really is making us these hooded, orb worshiping cult that I was joking about when this channel first started, that we'd all get orbs and we'd chant trust in Messiah and other things like fuck Brooklyn. And he's really kind of making this seem like there is maybe some sorcery in our cult. The imagery of the cougar that you're telling us about is very interesting. Yeah, sure. And were you very close to this cougar? I mean, country cougars are scary, but city cougars are fun. Little joke. Fiercey Salsera saying, I don't know what they do at practice, but they absolutely need to get their act together for free throws and three-pointers. Seriously. Also, our inconsistency is damaging us. Yeah. Once again, the whole 48, part of it is the youngsters, Scotty and Precious and Koloko and Delano, they got to understand every little thing that happens in the game adds up to whether we win or not. And I'm not saying any of them made very many mistakes or anything like that, but every single thing from the very beginning of the game, the jump ball, through all the free throws, all the shots, every possession is so critical and important. And in some ways, the losing in the NBA teaches NBA players to value each possession, every single free throw, every single opportunity that you get in a basketball game, because those little things that happen all add up to whether you win or not. And that every single minute of the 48 minutes and every single thing that happens has something to do with whether you win or not. It either adds to it or it takes away from it. And there's a lot of stuff that we're doing out there that is still taking away from us being able to win because it's ineffective and not getting happening. It's not getting executed. And this is a big part of the problem, is that the margin of error for the Raptors with their roster build and their style of play is very weird. In some ways, last year, we were overpowering and winning a lot of games because of the extra field goal attempts. It really gained us to get an advantage. And it maybe in some ways, the NBA is trying to stop us from getting that advantage to help our record in like really weird ways with the foul calls and the new allowing of the offense to be let loose in the NBA all over the place. So it's tough. It's like we were in a sweet spot last year where things were still good in that kind of play. But now this year it's Wild West. It's wide open and anybody can go and score and do whatever. And the defenses are at a disadvantage. Let's see. Name was saying no bench, no true point guard, no center, no free throws, no three-point shooting. I'm not sure what management is doing anymore. I'm sorry, but Bobby is either fast asleep and capable or doesn't care. Pick. I think that we just had a concept and we've been trying to do it and see if it works. And we're seeing the limitations of it and the problems that we're a very middle team with middle average versatile players that can play every single position. But we do have a true point guard. Fred is a true point guard. So I'll disagree with that. Now, the center thing is ambiguous. In some ways, we could manufacture a center out of our personnel on our roster, but Nick Nurse refuses to. He wants to just play Scotty, or Precious is a suitable center. So in some ways, he's okay. But man, no three-point shooting is a problem for sure. That is a huge problem with our team. I want to point a little bit of fingers at Bobby now. But I don't know. Let's see how he reacts. Let's give him a chance to maybe fix things a little bit in the next couple of weeks, and let's grade Bobby again at the end of the season, depending on how things happen with his moves going forward right now. So we'll have to see. G saying supposedly New Orleans and Memphis are fighting over OG because neither young team wants the other team to get him. The thought of this being true with OG maybe being traded doesn't sit well with me. Yeah, I don't like it either. That's why we really got to, like somebody said, Will Lou said this on Twitter yesterday, say OG's the kind of player that when you trade him, immediately you're trying to replace him. So why even fucking trade him is what I'm saying. It's like as soon as you lose him, you're like, oh crap, this is a huge void. And now we're going to be struggling to try and replace him. And I don't want to do that in some ways. I want to keep him around. Especially he must be very sought after if two teams are already arguing over trying to get him in that kind of way. Lion Hunter's here. Good to see Lion Hunter, a great Raptor freak. Deciding between Fred and Gary Trent isn't that simple. You could potentially replace Gary, but it's hard to replace the point guard who leads the team both on and off the floor. I'd like to keep both. Tough situation. Somebody was saying that Fred is actually the reason why this team is stuck together through this whole hard time. That if he wasn't our team captain and the leader, if it was somebody else, our team would have fallen apart. In fact, some insiders on the team have said, this is what I heard in the last couple of days, that Fred is the sole reason why this team has not gone into infighting and turning on each other. That he's been an exemplary leader and showing doing, not saying. He's being the example on the team for everybody else to fall in line and act like, and the way he's acting is the ultimate professional and keeping them all together. That in some ways, the weathering of the losing and not infighting and playing the blame game and turning on each other is very much being safeguarded by Fred staying a good leader on this team. And I think Lionheart is right. There's a certain level of leadership that is very highly sought after in the league. That's why people want Fred, and we will lose that also. if he is off of our team, we will very much feel it, just like we would feel it if OG left the team too. So, yeah, I mean, in some ways, Gary is easier to replace. In some ways, he really is. I mean, a lot of people were talking about Jordan Clarkson last season, off season. It's like the Raptors need to get Jordan Clarkson. And I was like kind of thinking about it. I was like, Clarkson. Well, we saw him last night kind of do the same things that Gary does. He gets steals and he hits big threes, and he's kind of a similar kind of player. So there are a few players like Gary is. There are players in this league that are a lot like Gary Trent, and that you may be able to replace him after a trade easier than Fred, for sure. I would agree with that. David's saying, I agree, G. He's one of the best. However, considering how coveted he is, an absolute complete fleecing may be in order. That's what I'm saying. Like, if we can figure it out to get way more in return for some of our best assets, we could end up being like the Jazz, looking like them all of a sudden, the way they fleeced Minnesota and Cleveland last summer, the way that they got all those assets, and boom, the things that are happening with them are fantastic. If something like that can be replicated for us in a deal, that would be great in some ways. So I think David's right. The demand for our players is very high. And in some ways, that demand can really dictate that we can get some amazing things in return. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how they manage this. And hopefully the front office hits another home run, and we're all like, wow, they really made the best out of this. I hate seeing this player leaving, but look at what we've got coming. We're super excited about it. Fun Guy's saying, gee, I think it's at a point where OG isn't the only one you should be worried about. There could be a huge overhaul including the precious SIAKAM, some deem untouchable. Anything is possible now. I would say, maybe even a month ago that Pascal is untouchable, but in some ways I would be okay with trading Pascal. If it's out of any of our champions, I would want to keep Fred and OG maybe more than Pascal right now. And part of it is my frustrations with him right now, with him being our number one option. He's not the best number one option on our team for the long term. He's good for right now. He's kind of a good number one option in between really good number one options like Kawhi and hopefully Scotty down the road. It's just that in between, it's kind of like, SIAKAM was not ever supposed to be this player at this level. He came from nowhere. And in some ways, that his lack of a pedigree in that way hurts his ability to get to the highest levels of being a superstar. And that there's some things about him that are very attractive for other teams. And in some ways, we may be able to get something that really helps fit our team better with him gone. And in some ways, other people stepping up and taking the void. Now, I would have said, no way we get rid of the second banana for a championship year. But in some ways, I'm starting to see the ceiling with Pascal. And I don't like what's going on with him to a degree. And I think he's hurting us. And he's part of the reason why we're losing. So I don't know. I know, listen, I don't like talking bad about Pascal, but I have been a lot lately. And in some ways, he may be the one that if we trade, we could get the most for and get like really good with what we still got. So I don't know. It's crazy. Let's see. Cool Cat saying direct frustration and anger at the front office and coaching. Players have to overcompensate. Respect our players' effort. They know the root of the problem. They're polite and not speaking up. It's abuse. I mean, I understand why you want to really, really blame. And in some ways, I do blame Nick a lot. Like, I don't want to like rank who I blame the most on this team. And really, my criticism of Pascal is really it's not because of what's happening now. And I know that he's working really hard and he's tired and he's just busting his ass. It's really the body of work. It's the same issues with him come up year after year. And it's the same kind of things that are a problem that I have with him. He misses a lot of free throws. He's not good in the clutch. He's inefficient. He's missing like shots that are just barely about to go in and they go out. Some of it's the same criticism that people had about him in the bubble. Some of it's the same criticism they had with him as far as I don't know. It's a lot of what I've been saying. I don't know. I'm going to get off of going after Pascal right now for the rest of the stream, though. G saying, I said beginning of the season, just a useful, good big would solve a lot of problems. Still have faith. Fred going to the rim and grabbing rebounds, being the smallest player on the team. Come on, guys. Yeah. I mean, seriously, Fred is being a really good leader in all kinds of different ways, on and off the court. He's being a huge leader. I mean, went into the land of the Giants and got a huge amount of rebounds and got a triple-double last night. Fantastic stuff by him. Just a useful, good, big. Who is that? And can we do this, Bobby Webster? Figure it out. Monique saying, you made Kessler kill you, a rookie. I know. Kessler's very good. He's way beyond his years. He's smart and he's playing within himself. And he didn't seem like he was a rookie at all last night. In fact, he looked just as good as a DeAndre Ayton last night. Fiercely saying, I agree with the second star. Scotty did miss a few at the rim, but they were like 3 or 4 towers hovering over him, and he played hard despite that. So respect to him. No, he was in there battling, and it looked like it was a little personal between him and Kessler for a little bit in there because it was kind of like they were really at a physical odds against each other. And like Scotty really didn't like getting blocked in that moment, I'm sure. And in some ways, he was kind of like, I got to bring it right back at him and show him that I'm not afraid to go at him and I can still score on him and stuff. And he did. He reestablished low post presence and made some easy baskets close to the basket later on in the game still, even though early in the game, they were getting blocked and stymied and missing bunnies. And he would get like three offensive rebounds and he'd miss them, but he didn't give up. He just kept crashing and going up and going up and going up. That was fantastic. I love that effort from Scotty. And can keep doing it, Scott, because you're going to get those to go in. And there's not many teams that are built like the Jazz. The Jazz are really weird. They're kind of like Cleveland, though, in a way. They're very similar with those really tall guys, Cleveland Cavs and them. But yeah, respect to Scotty for sure for the effort out there last night. Nameless saying, I want Bobby Webster gone now at this point. This is years of him doing nothing. Years. If Fred VanVleet had to score 35 to win, you've got a problem. Bobby is the problem. Replace him for instant fix. Now, if we're going to do a real serious blame game where a head has to roll at the end of the season, and in some ways I really want to blame somebody, I'm not going to blame Nick. I don't want to fire Nurse, even though I've said a lot of things that I'm mad about with him. Obviously, we're not going to fire Masai because he's very much in the charge and he's the top. And the players, you don't fire players, you just trade them. So, yeah, I would say the first person I would fire would be Bobby Webster in the summer. If we're going to really have to make a scapegoat and say this is the person we blame for this season, Bobby Webster is the one I would fire. So I agree with Nameless in this instance. And in some ways, it's like, yeah, we'll get somebody else to come in and step in, and hopefully they'll be amazing, and they'll have Masai's mentorship and stuff like that. So, Bobby, in some ways, they're pointing fingers at you, and you may be in trouble because some of this is front office stuff that we have a problem. We're lacking things on our roster, and you did not build a full, complete team without a center. G saying 8 missed free throws again. Every team is good now. Can't miss that many free throws over several games. And those were more missed free throws early in the game. And like I said, that sets the tone at the free throw line. This is somebody misses a free throw right at the beginning of the game. Well, then you get in a bad place where you miss a bunch of free throws and you're shooting 50% of the free throw line at the half. It was really, really bad, really bad. It's concentration, y'all. This is the easiest part. You're doing all the hard stuff really well, but the easy part, you're fucking up on. Come on, Raptors, make your free throws. Top saying, good morning, Lex. Nick Nurse is making mistakes, not playing Koloko more or the bench more, but Utah has a deep team. Pascal looks distracted in the key stretch of the season. He's leader in title only. He's leader as far as he's our leading scorer. He's our All-NBA. He's our All-Star, hopefully today. They're going to announce the reserves later today, so we'll have to see if SIAKAM's name is on the list to come back to Utah for the All-Star game. We'll have to see. I'm not totally sure he's a slam dunk for sure. He has not played well recently, and we're not winning. So there really are looking at what's currently happening when they decide the all-star reserves with the coaches. Now, they may give him on respect and also think about, well, he didn't make it last year. He probably should have made it last year. So we'll make it up to him to make sure he for sure makes it this year. So I don't know. We'll have to see. It's wide open. Honestly, I don't know if he's for sure going to be an all-star, but we'll find out today. Later on today, we'll find out. I agree with Top here. I think Nick's making a mistake not playing Koloko more and the bench more. And they do have a way deeper team on Utah, and they should, because they traded their 2 franchise players for a whole ton of good, talented players last summer. And they should have two full 5s of good players because of how many players they got in return. They should. Kareem Thomas saying Dikembe Mutombo, Walker Kessler is exactly what I expect from Koloko to be in year 2. It's been 2 years since we had a fucking center. As always, fuck them picks, bring Jakob home. Kareem, yeah, he's always saying fuck the picks and get Jakob Pertl. I would love Koloko to be like Kessler in some ways. That'd be great if he could just come out and be exactly that. Kessler makes mistakes and he's young, but he's just really smart. And he has a high basketball IQ, so he minimizes them. But I'm sure he makes rookie mistakes and he has different problems still being in his first year in the NBA. It's just that they hide him really well. Now, yeah, I'd love Koloko to get production like Kessler had last night as soon as possible. If it can be next year, that'd be fantastic. But of course, we know there's no guarantees on anything. We'll have to see. Jakob Pertl is still very much being talked about a lot in trade talks, and we'll have to see. We'll see what works out. Once again, we are all anticipating something. And when it happens, we'll just have to react, and hopefully it'll be for the best for the team. Your job's in trouble, Bobby Webster. I'm a fun guy. Nameless is nameless for sure. Our front office is not exempted. Like we've been calling for centers since Aaron Baines, and Van Vleet being our only capable dribbling guard is insane. No balance at all with this team. It's very middle oriented and not much on the little or the big end. Yeah. And that, once again, Vision 6-9, we're seeing the limitations and we're seeing the glaring problems with it. And maybe there's just a couple of players you need to get to complement it all, and it will still work. But right now, with this exact roster makeup, it does not work. And there's certain things that we lack that we definitely need. And I think Fun Guy's naming them right here. Click saying, you still want this team to make the play-in? Yeah, I'm crazy. Like, you just want that experience for Scotty. And you want to be able to be a spoiler. And in some ways, making the play-in is just like your playoff. Is like you make that game, you win it. Ask Minnesota last year. They got the feelings like they won a championship just because they won the play-in and got in the playoffs. So in some ways, I want that feeling because even if you win the play-in and you get put out in the first round, at least you can say you won in the play-in in a do-or-die situation. And that's good training in some ways too. I don't know if we're even going to make the play-in because the way we're playing, we're not on track to do it with the trajectory of our wins and losses and the way things are going. So in some ways, I want to just make the play-in just because I don't know if they necessarily can right now. And I want to prove me wrong because I don't know if we can even do it. But it is worth it still. I think every bit of it is worth it. And it's smart. The NBA did this because tanking is lessened because of the play-in. Cool Cat saying, Raptor Freak, I know you are terrible upset with losses. A lot of teams have improved. A lot of players have not improved. Except reality. No center and bench is a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Yeah. There is true. Like, that is one of the things is like last offseason, a lot of people were saying the Raptors are in trouble because they didn't improve their team. They stand pat and didn't make huge improvements. Otto Porter, I thought was something. Koloko, I thought was something. But there's other teams that made big splashes, like Cleveland with Donovan Mitchell. Philadelphia got better. Boston, it's not that they got better. It's just they kind of stayed where they were already. And we really kind of we didn't change our team, and we kind of have the same team as last year. But this year, the rest of the league must have got that much better. That it's just improved so much all around the league. Because it's not even like the top teams improved too. Like it's the bottom teams that have improved a lot also. Like Houston's better than they were last year. Utah looks like different and they're actually kind of weird. Sacramento's way better than they were last year. There's every team, the parity is much better. So I think that is a lot of it. And then in that case, you could say, yeah, it's the front office fault. Didn't keep up with the Joneses. The rest of the league did way better and did more to improve their team. Meanwhile, Bobby didn't do enough. Okay, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Lionhunter saying, I'm so tired of watching undersized Raptor players trying to guard a mammoth center on the opposing team, especially when Birch just sits on the bench. I know. He's there. He's sitting there. Is there something wrong with Birch, Nick? Just tell us the truth, please. If anything, if you hear us saying, why isn't Khem Birch playing, you need to tell us and give us a reason. Because I want to know that maybe he is really hurt and that's why you're not playing him. I want to know a real reason other than because I don't want to believe that you're just stupid and you're just not using a tool that you have in your toolbox and you're just ignoring it. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this? There's something really wrong with this because honestly, he's the closest thing to a center that we have. and we were playing 3 centers last night. Hello, you don't have to Brian Winders your fingers in the air to understand this, Nick Nurse. Come on. Forgetful saying Kessler is a name derived from the medieval German word for cauldron. Walker is a good guy, but he was a vessel for the devious anti-raptor who unfortunately has powers beyond my pitiful skills. Whoa! Wow! 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 These comments are coming from really interesting places at this point. Forgetful. Yeah. All right. I like the word etymology for the name Kessler. Okay, it means cauldron. Really? That's the German word for cauldron. I want to think. I want to believe you, and I have no reason not to believe you. But in some ways, I feel like I might be playing Balderdash here. Do you guys know that board game, Balderdash? They give you definitions, or they give you a word, and you have to write a fake, and you put it in with all the definitions. They have to figure out which one's the real one. You might be good at Balderdash. It's a fun game. Let's see. Yeah, Walker's interesting. I don't know. He seems like a good guy. He's kind of goofy. I don't know. Whatever. I hate that he beat us last night. MSJ saying we could see a trade for draft picks and get worse, but I'm fine with that just as long as there is hope and fans can cheer on development of a team into the future. That's the thing. Is like what happens what if this happens? What if we do a trade, but it really is for the future and it will pan out in the long term? But for the rest of our season, we are absolute shit. And we're just going to start losing even worse than we already are losing. And the fans are going to be like even crazier because we made a deal and we didn't improve. We got even worse. There is a chance that this could happen. This very much could happen. So we need to be ready for any of it. Seriously, what if we make a trade and we're absolutely worse after it? And everybody's gonna be like, why the fuck do we do this? Yeah, this could happen. Seriously. Nameless saying, if you don't make fries working at McDonald's for 3 or 4 years, what happens? You're fired. So why is Bobby still here? Why is he still here? You mean just center. You just need to get us a center, Bobby. Well, he drafted a center for us last season for Coloco. I don't know. It's tough. I really don't kind of want anybody to get fired. But if somebody does have to be fired, it should be Bobby Webster. Let's see. Fiercey saying, I have a feeling Coloco will beef up during the offseason, preparing for the league's physicality. Yeah, I think he already is to a degree. He's definitely getting in the weight room and trying to get as big and strong as he possibly can. Because you can kind of tell he's already getting a little bit more muscle on his arms. But this is definitely an off-season regimen that he should do. And if he can, get with Scotty. Because Scotty did such a good job of building muscle last off-season. He may need to go and see those trainers and the people that work with Scotty to build him up and get him so much stronger this year. Because that could really help for sure. And I think that that's true. Like, that may be the thing that gets Coloco more time and more trust is all of a sudden if he is stronger and he's able to hold his own much better. Jimmy's saying, another tough loss. How are we letting a rookie beat on us? Well, it's not just a rookie. In fact, it's a team with very interesting parts. Mike Conley is like a Chris Paul light. He's kind of like a very much a good floor leader that is very savvy and smart, been around forever. And then you got Markkanen, who's an emerging star. The thing that happened with Lauri Markkanen is that he went to that Euro Cup that last summer and he killed it over there. He got traded from the Cavs and he was kind of in a limbo kind of summer coming into the Jazz. And this Jazz rebuild, they didn't really know if they're going to be tanking or they're going to be like a shitty team. Everybody's saying they were going to tank for Wemby. Well, they're not doing that. But Markkanen in Eurobasket was amazing. In fact, he may have been the best player last summer in that tournament overall, that he was absolutely carrying Finland deep into that tournament. And I think that what happened in that tournament is he kind of blew up as a player and reached some new levels of confidence and level of play that he has translated into his season being the main guy for the Jazz this season. So he's arrived and he's shown up. And I was wondering this when they did the deal last summer. I was like, Markkanen's a good player. He's about to like blow up. I actually knew he was about to blow up because I could see it in his play in Cleveland. And also even before when he was in Chicago, you could tell he was a special player very early on. Well, they traded him and now boom, he's blowing up for the Jazz. And in some ways I would regret trading Lauri Markkanen if I was a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, because they're seeing a lot of crazy and amazing things he's doing with the Jazz right now. I know Mitchell is like a great prize to have, and he's been absolutely amazing for them also. But that was the part I was like, yeah, they're going to regret losing Markkanen and Sexton to a degree. Yeah, but that's interesting. I wouldn't say a rookie beat us. I know it's like there's a lot there, but in some ways that does piss me off. A rookie head coach, a rookie center, they really were a big factor in why we lost. Angry Mexicans here. Okay, let's hear what Hornets Nation is saying today. The way you guys are playing, I think my Hornets can catch you. Scotty Barnes has taken a step back from his rookie year. No, all right. First comment, I can let you have that first one because I don't know. Like, the way things are going with us, you may be right. I mean, let me see. How far off are you guys? Oh no, you guys got Orlando between us too, and we're still like 8 games ahead of you guys. Nah, man, sorry, bro. You're not gonna catch us. You're not gonna win enough to catch us. So that first part of your thing. The second part is just absolute malarkey. Absolute malarkey. Because Scotty Barnes is playing the best basketball he's played so far in the NBA. He's going up and up and up. You're not watching. You just see how complete he's playing. You have to actually watch the games, Angry Mexican. Don't just look at the box score. Go and watch the game and see how much effort and what Scotty's doing out in the court, and you'll change your tune real quick. He's not taking a step back since his rookie year. In fact, he's taken a bunch of steps forward, huge steps, because he's one of the best low post offensive players in the league now at this point. And he didn't have that last year. So that alone makes it a huge leap forward in his game from his rookie year. Instead of saying he's taking a step back, yeah, that's bullshit. So yeah, 2 full of shit comments, but you're Hornets Nation. So we expect that from you. And I won't give you a strike. That's fine. You go ahead and say that stuff. Nameless saying, let's not act like Bobby built that chip winning team. That was Masai entirely. Why are we so loyal to this guy? What the fuck? Well, he's really smart and he is kind of on it. And in some ways, he is kind of a hotshot young young GM in the NBA. That, he is kind of like, there's interesting things about him. Like Mike has said, he could be in the FBI or the CIA because of his attention to detail and his perception. He's very good at reading people. He's kind of like a genius in certain ways. So that's part of the reason why we really like him. It's kind of like Masai is like, I really trust this guy and have a lot of confidence in him because he is really on the ball with it and astute. And I think that is a lot of it there. But I think you're right that the championship team was really built by Masai, and that Bobby is kind of like, I don't know where that crosses over, where that bleeds the gray area as far as who's built what with the Raptors franchise. Bobby Webster was around before the championship, so he did have a part in it technically in some ways. So I don't know how you can delineate exactly who takes credit for what at what point in the timeline of the Raptors and their success between Bobby and Masai. So I don't know. It's tough to say. But there's some in the background on Wise because he's super astute. He's super smart. He's brilliant, honestly. Forgetful saying, a while ago, I said that Pascal trudging upstairs to the gym worried me. It was a sign of body, mind, and soul fatigue. You can't criticize his effort, Lex, but the problem is more profound in my view. I think that, like, honestly, like I said a little while ago in the stream, is winning and losing is the difference. That he can be absolutely exhausted and tired, but there's a certain energy that carries him and winning that keeps him going and makes it all right. It's really hard to get that gumption up, that fire going when you're doing so much that you're trying so hard and you're just coming up short. And I think that's the difference between the energy for Pascal last year and the energy for him this year. He could have boundless energy last year because he knew he was winning and he was moving towards winning games. Well, at this point, it's a little different. He's not totally trusting that we're going to win the game at the end of the game. And that may be part of it. I don't know. Maybe he's worn out. Like maybe he's hit a wall with his body because of being overplayed by Nick for years now. That, maybe that we're just getting to a point of natural exhaustion with his body because he's been so overworked the last couple of years in the ways that we've complained about. So I don't know. That could be, I think it's the losing along with him just hitting the wall of years of being overplayed. So yeah, I think that's probably stuff like that. There's some problems, but I understand what you're saying. It's more profound in your view. Well, that's kind of what I was trying to get to about him and the way he looks at the game is in some ways he doesn't look at basketball the same way that other athletes look at sports and competing. In some ways, he just doesn't come from the right background as a young person, that he just wasn't like computer programmed as a person, as a young athlete, because that's not who he was when he was a kid. Maybe he played some soccer, kicked the ball around, but it wasn't like, say it's like Scotty or Gary, and they're like very young and they're very much taught certain ways about killer instinct and wanting to win all the time. That's what I wonder about with Siakam, is that because he came to the sport late, is there certain wiring in his young adolescent prepubescent mind that he didn't get in his mind because of that, and that getting it as an adult, it doesn't get instilled in the wiring as in the same way? I don't know. These are theories. I'm trying to speculate and trying to figure out the difference here as far as what makes it different between somebody like Gary, who's so like he was trained as a child prodigy under his father, and somebody like Pascal, who came to the game in his teens and maybe didn't have that competitive fire his whole entire life when he was a kid. It's just that he came into a game that he was good at, but he wasn't really nurturing that true, like ultimate competitive, like killer instinct kind of edge, is what I'm trying to say. He's super talented, but there's something that maybe wasn't there because it wasn't developed at a young age. I don't know. This is speculation. I'm just trying to figure out possibilities for what's going on. Let's see. Nameless is saying we got Stockholm syndrome with Bobby Webster. No, he hasn't, Mexican. Yeah, that's true. But you're forgiven for your comments. What you mean to say is Scotty has really increased his workload from last season. Nameless. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know if it's Stockholm syndrome with Bobby Webster. That sounds a little crazy. I don't think it's like that. Maybe he is charming us with his good looks and his ability to come in and be flashy and just be like, hey, I really know what I'm doing, guys. So just trust and believe in me. I'm Bobby Webster. I don't know. I don't know what it is. And I'm glad you forgave Angry Mexican for his out of pocket comments like I did. Jimmy Pope saying Scotty is not taking a step back. Laugh out loud. Yeah, the opposite. Omari saying, tell Nick Nurse I say what up next time you call him. He just sits people arbitrarily. No rhyme or reason. Yeah, I know. I don't understand why he's doing what he's doing with what. We see Malachi get some minutes last night. He wasn't horrible, but he only got 2 points. He could have scored. Yeah, it is what it is. 6 minutes, 2 points. Malachi, whatever. All right, let's keep going. G saying I would like to see Pascal load manage just a bit, in my opinion. He is still practicing hard even with these minutes. Someone needs to force rest, in my opinion. Sometimes with no rest, the muscle memory doesn't set in. Yeah, because you're exhausted. In some ways they say, all right, this is what Greg would say. You want to build that callus of exhaustion and tiredness so that when you're absolutely exhausted, you make it no matter. That's bullshit. The body is not willing. You cannot perform. And in some ways, if you overexhaust yourself, you cannot depend on your muscle memory because your muscles are jelly. They're blue. You don't have legs in your shot. How can you depend on your muscle memory when your muscles in your legs will not lift your body to the proper height to shoot the shot? Like Fred the other day. He couldn't make the shot against Phoenix because he had no legs right at the end of the game. Well, he had legs last night. You could tell at the end of the game, he had legs and he was making shots better near the end of the game. That's what I'm saying. That the load management of Pascal and Fred specifically, those two guys need to happen throughout the whole entire game. And I'm not talking about load management, sitting them whole entire games here and there. I'm talking about sitting them for 5-6 minutes of game time, not real time, of game time out of the game so that they're managed early and they're load managed throughout the game so that at the end of the game, they are in the best shape to play as hard as they can without any tiredness, and the muscle memory will come through. So yeah, I'm totally with you, G, on that. As far as like they need to load manage within the game, not from game to game. Like you're just sitting this whole entire game. I'm saying you cut his minutes down in the middle of the game so there's fresher at the end. Forgetful saying Pascal, I fear, depends on prayer. Prayer is a request for help from the divine. It ain't coming, Pascal, and it wouldn't help anyway. Instead, you should talk to Chris about meditation, which brings rest. I think this is true, and this is really good. Comment, Forgetful. As far as like, I saw Scotty at the beginning of the game last night before the jump ball close his eyes right before he was going to step into that circle with Walker Kessler and jump against him, he closed his eyes and it seemed like he was really like setting his mindset for the game. It's like he was getting in the zone. He was really like maybe pre-visualizing. Maybe he was really doing a little bit of meditation, because I know that Chris has talked to him about meditating, and that in some ways Scotty was worried about how he'd start the game, and he wasn't engaged in the game earlier this season. There would be games where Scotty just disappears. Well, I think at some point he realizes like I need to set up before the game that my mindset and being ready. So now we're seeing him kind of like concentrate or think right before the game, or like Chris does his meditation before the game. I think this is all true. And this is right. Like all of them should be just sitting in the room, sitting in a seated position, doing a group meditation together. Wonder if they did that, if they experimented with that. That seems like something Phil Jackson would have done back in the day with the Bulls. But have all the Raptors sit in a room like they have school children in Asia do a group morning meditation and just sitting together on the mats. And maybe collectively they'll find a clear spot as a unit and come out with a whole different kind of clear mindset and play in a very interesting way. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws at this point. The way this season has happened, we really kind of need to innovate and try maybe crazy things like a group meditation setting before the game with all the guys together in the room together. But I like what you're saying as far as like, this is what I'm saying. When Forgetful's saying, he's like, some people just say, okay, it's going to work out the way it's supposed to. I'm just going to passively let it happen. Well, I want Siakam to be more active in creating his destiny and the outcome for himself. And that's what I'm trying to say today. Fun guy saying, how is Scotty taking a step back? Maybe when he takes a three, he takes a step back, but it's not with his level of play. If I'm not mistaken, he's averaging career highs in many aspects. I think even points. Going to check. Yeah, no, he's increased everything since the turn of the calendar. They were showing his stats for January, and they're insanely good. No, Angry Mexican's just a Charlotte fan who's not paying attention. He watches Charlotte games, and maybe he sees us when we play Charlotte, but I don't think he's actually paying attention to what Scotty's doing right now, because he wouldn't have said such an incorrect statement. And I'm glad y'all are lashing back. G saying Scotty's last 10 games. Hang on. Scotty's last 10 games. Oh, wow. I'm going to really catch up, guys. I knew it would be a long one. When there's a bad game like last night, we definitely got to like talk it all out. Scotty's last 10 games have had great numbers. Once he can get a better touch around the rim, his game and numbers will be even better. He's got good touch around the rim. It's just he's getting hit. He's got to learn how to finish through contact is what part of the problem is. These guys are getting like hit, and they have to just adjust with strength or being able to take the contact and still finish through it. And that's a big part of it. It's like he's not going to miss these bunnies naturally. It's they are hitting him and they're throwing him off. And it's a smart way. We do it too on the other end to a degree. But yeah, I think he's fine near the basket. I don't worry about him missing all these. I just love the effort of continuing to go after it until he tries to make it, which is great. Canadian Cowboys here. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Trades or not, I will always be a Raptor fan. Also should be happy with the players we have. Every team won't at least we have, laugh out loud, every team won't at least at one of them. Let's go Raptors. All right, Bradley, I love your positivity, enthusiasm. Ta-da. The brothers Tada can come to your house and help you out if you need things done around the house, chores, painting, cleaning, whatever it is. Call Tada. They're in the phone book. Jimmy Pope saying, I feel our defense has been figured out. Our doubles were deadly last year, not this year. If we had a legit defensive center, it would allow our doubles to be good again. I don't know if it's them figuring us out, or like I said, the league is opening up the game for the offenses, that they really are calling the game in a different way, that it's not good for defensive teams. And it could be as easy as like, all right, the Raptors are like the best defensive team in the league because of what they do. Let's fuck them up. Let's make it more wide open so it's harder for them to guard people with physicality, because we're calling everything as a foul. And it really favors the offensive player at this point, the way the rules are being called. And I think that that's a big part of it too, is it's not just that they have the scouting report and they realize what we were doing last year better, but it's also the rules have changed and the way that they officiate the games. And now it really has neutered us. as far as like our effectiveness for our defense, as far as it shutting things down and being able to do that from time to time. Not only that we haven't been consistent in doing it all the time at a good high level, that's also part of it. But even when we do it at a consistent, good high level, there's still water seeping through the cracks of the other team getting scores in really cheap ways, partly because of the rules changes that favor offenses in the NBA. So I think that it's a little bit of both. I think you're right. The scouting and them understanding our system better and ways that beat it is surely there, especially that corner three in the rotation. But it's also the game's evolving to help offenses do better than defenses. And we built our team around defense in a league that's going towards being more offensive. And that's a huge thing that we've got to reconcile going forward with our team build and how the game is evolving. We've got to get more in line with that offensive side and have better offense, because it's in some ways we got to have firepower in this gunfight with other teams, and we don't have enough firepower as far as keeping up with them, because the defense we're not going to be able to rely on to hold teams down. This is just the way it's going to be. Every team's going to be scoring 120 points every game from now on. It doesn't matter if you're a super, super good defensive team. They're going to score it no matter what. You can't stop it anymore. So we've got to pivot how we build our team to be in this way. And it may not take a whole bunch of super big moves. It may be as simple as getting a real legit center and having that. I know we keep saying this for like a couple of years now. It really pisses me off. Carlo's here. Good morning, freaks. Good morning, Carlo. Good to see a good Raptor freak. Carlo JS. G saying Bleacher Report just came out saying Raptors are focused on young players instead of draft picks. I think that in some ways I like that. I mean, in some ways, if a player's already been in the league for a little bit and they've shown a little bit of what they can do, you know if they're kind of already an NBA caliber player or not. And if you draft people, you don't know if they're even good enough to be in the league sometimes. So I kind of like looking at players that are already kind of known. In fact, if they're kind of player like Gary Trent Jr., that are kind of like just scratching the surface, and we see like possibilities in expanding their game and building more value in that player by showing them something they could do better, I'm all about that. So, yeah, I like that. The Bleacher Report, if that's what they're saying, in some ways, I value a good young player prospect that's already in the league and maybe played a year or two over a draft pick that's unknown. Top of Top saying, in the words of Masai, play in for what? If we're keeping Nick Nurse, we need a deeper bench and better top-end talent. We don't attract free agents, so best way to improve is how Utah did, like our Rudy Gay trade. Yeah. Yeah, it may be that we got to sacrifice one of our really, really good players, and then in return, we get like 4 good players, kind of like the Rudy K trade. That in some ways, it may be around that time. This was around 10 years ago when the Rudy Gay trade happened. Then maybe it's the 10-year time to make a sacrifice like Rudy Gay and get 4 good players that really help as a catalyst towards us getting better and better. Patrick Patterson, Chuck Hayes, Gravis Vasquez, John Salmons. Coming back for Rudy Gay. If we can get a trade like that for one of our guys, and it could be somebody like Gary, then, boom, who knows? That may help. I'm sorry my nose is so itchy. I know I keep itching it. I don't know what's going on. Sue's here. Good morning to Sue. Play it again, Sue. Check out her YouTube reaction channel to music. Good morning, everyone. I'm growing weary of all the noise around the team. The trade deadline can't come soon enough. We definitely need to fill holes, but too much drama whipped up by the media, which isn't helping. Yeah, it's just a storm. And like I said, some people have said they're not paying attention to anybody else or going to any other spaces because it's so negative and it's just not pleasant. It's not fun to be around. And this is a safe space. And they still want to talk about Raptors in a place that's like positive and building towards something good. Well, I'm glad that we have this channel at least, because I know there's a lot of places right now that are just not productive, not helpful, and just kind of full of shit right now. So I can understand. I'm not going out there either, Sue, right now. So you just go ahead, work on your YouTube channel, have fun doing that stuff and the stuff that you do in your everyday life. You watch the games and then limit everything else. I mean, on the only need to know basis with the right sources that you deal with. Omari's saying, I think Bones Highland would be a great pickup for us. Yeah, there's a little bit of noise in the last couple of days. Somebody was saying that he's not totally happy in Denver. That's weird to me because it seems like that's a great team to play on, but he is a very fantastic young player. And definitely somebody I would be very happy if the Raptors got. And that is the kind of player that we're talking about that I was just saying. It's like you don't want a fresh faced draft pick that you don't know who they're going to be coming in. Well, Bones Highlands played a couple of years in the league already. He's a young player who has more potential, and we could get him around now, and if he can expand into the next level of his game with us, boom, that's the value that we create, just like with Gary Trent Jr. So yeah, I'm all about that. Bones Highlands is not a bad pickup for us. Green light on that. Jimmy Pope saying, I'm curious what's going to happen at the deadline. A lot of uncertainty indeed. Yeah, get the popcorn and just like let's watch and see what these guys do. Their jobs may be on the line. Careers with the Raptors may be on the line. There's a lot on the line right now with this team because they're not performing right. Cowboys saying, have a great day, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Everyone keep your head up. That's right, Cowboy. Thank you, Bradley. You be safe at your job today. And y'all, he's right. Just keep our heads up. We got to keep our heads up. I know some people are like, oh, well, it is. And sometimes there's a comedy in the errors, in the losing and all the stupid shit happening. G saying, I know Delano can be chaotic, but he pushes the pace. Why can't we see him and Birch on? Birch at least takes a stance in the paint. Maybe he is going to be part of a trade and they need him healthy. I would also think if they want to try and trade Khem Birch, they maybe need to showcase him a little bit and show exactly where he is with his game. I don't think we played him since November. And that's really crazy to me. That's like 2 months, it seems like, since we played Khem Birch. And I just don't get it. I just do not get it. It's such a mystery to me what is going on with Khem Birch and why he is not allowed to be in the rotation at this point. It's so fucking weird. Delano is really nice to see him play again. And much like Khem Birch, they were saying this is the first time Delano Banton has played in a Raptors main squad game since almost November. That's crazy that he had not played on our team. And part of it was that he was hurt and he was with the 905 for a lot of that time, but also he just was getting DNPs. And the fact that in some ways, that's no good. You can't let that dude sit for that long without getting some time on the main roster. I'm sorry. I'm glad he got in last night. Carlos saying, yeah, Nurse is really worrying me about his rotation. Yeah, he said that he needs to coach better. Well, this is the area you need to coach better is the rotation, bro, and maybe your personnel choices. Jimmy's saying, I'm against getting rid of Nick Nurse. That's just stupid, and not many coaches like him, and other teams would gladly take him. Just sad to see gaps in this franchise. In turn, it's leading to blaming. Yeah, when it's bad, there's finger pointing, and sometimes there's a scapegoat that needs to be sacrificed or go away. I don't want Nick to get fired either, and honestly, I love him as our coach. Every time I criticize him, it's really because I hope he's listening, and maybe he'll try the things that we're suggesting on this channel. Is that like, look, man, Khem Birch is sitting there. Why does he have DMPs? You're playing 3 centers in a starting lineup. This is so stupid. Come on, man. Come on. Figure it out, bro. Come on, man. You're smart. You played all these years and so long, so many different leagues, so many different teams, so many different countries. You can't fucking figure out to play Khem Birch against centers. Oh my gosh. Come on, man. Fun guy saying actual physical energy is also based on mental energy, and losing can drain you physically because it's also so mentally draining. Playing most minutes in the NBA doesn't help either. Laughing my ass off. Change is coming. Yeah. Yeah. Him and Gary are like at the top of the league in minutes right now. Pascal and Gary. They're like 1 and 2, I think. Yeah, this is exactly right. This is the difference between last year's Pascal and this year's Pascal. The losing is bearing on his mental energy, which bears on his physical energy, which makes him look even more tired and just even more like it's like, what the fuck? It's like you run a marathon and maybe you're running and you're winning the whole race. And then right at the end of the race, you trip a little bit. And this dude who's right behind you just ran and beat you, but you're absolutely exhausted and tired because you worked so hard and you did as much as you could, but you still lost. That's got to be so fucking frustrating, especially when you think you're about to win and you're just about to get it and it goes to shit right at the end. Oh my gosh. Blackhawks here. Good to see Blackhawk. Pascal needs to feel all of this for it to ignite a fire inside of him. He's a great player that needs to learn how to pump fake or bait opposing players. Yeah, I'll agree with everything on here. You know, in some ways, the stuff that happened with the bubble and his criticism, it did give a fire to him and that made him change and get better. And this may be the next part of the foundering of him, of like put him in the fire and temper him as like steel. And maybe this is the next level of it. Is that like now he's got to think, oh, wow, all right, this is how I dealt with it after the bubble, the criticism, everybody coming after me. I got better, and this is how I did it. I need to do this again because right now it's a similar kind of thing that's happening right now. And I think you're right. There's a fire that needs to be lit in him. And it's not necessarily a competitive fire. It's more like about who he's going to be and who he wants to be in this league. It's like you have to have a fire about your identity and who you want to be and how you want to be remembered. Is that kind of thing. It's like the opposite of Vince Carter stuff. Vince Carter didn't have any of this kind of fire inside of him. And that's what I'm saying, Siakam. Get more fire in you, desire to will your will on the games for what you want because you are supposedly so unstoppable. Well, let's see it. Let's see it in very measured, very much on purpose ways because you are taking us home to victories. And that's what I'm saying. That's the disconnect and the problem I have with Siakam right now is that you got to take us home, bro. And you're not doing it, bro. You could do it. You got to get in that mindset, get that fire, like Blackhawks saying. Jimmy's saying a center that clogs the lane, our big wings just need to run out and contest. Our doubles just lead to open lane and wide open kickouts. Yeah. At times we do really good with our defense, but like I said, what's the point? This league is built for the offenses to succeed at this point, and that there's no surefire way of closing a team out anymore. There's just too many ways to seep in and get that score somehow, some way. You could play defense as perfect as possible, and other teams will find a way to score no matter what. It's just the way the league has been built to this point. To this point, it has changed and evolved to this point. All right, let's see. Omari's saying, is it possible we do nothing at the deadline? If so, what message would that be sending? If they do that, then yeah, a lot of fans are going to be pissed off. They may lose fans of the team. It could be if this happens. Yeah, I think at this point they do need to make them deal. I think this is really like since the last two losses. Like maybe after the game before that, I was like, okay, they're still in good shape. They beat Sacramento. They did this. But now with these two losses to Phoenix and Utah in a row like this, and the way this is going, I think that they got to make a move because these are too close. And in some people's minds, it may be like, well, did they just make a move? Then it should fix everything and they should start winning. And people just want to find that out for sure. Now, if they don't do anything, like we've speculated they might do this, it may be very interesting to see how the fan nation reacts. Definitely going to be coming after Bobby Webster then, for sure. They will. Cool Cat saying, league has adjusted to Vision 6-9 strategy. Teams are taller. Teams fighting to get a 7-foot center need to go to the continent of Europe, Africa, Latin America for some giants. Utah's 7-foot front court. Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of Vision 6-9, and I like the versatility of positionless basketball, but maybe Cleveland was right in getting Vision 7-foot, Tower City. But in some ways, it's less versatile because you can get in trouble for slow guys. I don't know. It's so hard to figure out what is a winning strategy in the NBA at this point because, like I said, the league is in flux with the way they're changing, and the whole league is evolving in itself. Forget about just a single team in the league like us. The whole league is evolving, and we're not totally sure where this is going. And in some ways, they need to start building it with the trends of what's happening in the league, the team. That Bobby needs to pay more attention to this and not maybe like just be so staunchly on like Vision 6-9. This is what we committed to being and doing, and we've been working in this way for the last couple of years. Well, you can get more information about how the league is changing. You may need to adjust your roster build to allow us to compete better with the evolving of the offenses in the league right now. All right, let's keep going. And I like looking in other places to trying to find people for sure. And we know we're very good at that. G's saying the benefit of Vision 6-9 is these players are highly coveted by teams and great assets for trade. Well, they're versatile and they can do a lot of everything, but maybe they're not good enough in certain things that are very important, like shooting. That is the one area that I feel like 6-9 really fails us. That part of the reason why we're such a bad shooting team this year is because of the build of Vision 6-9. And it's too bad. Fun guy saying, yeah, people hate the Pascal topic, which is understandable because he's our best player. But I literally can see us trade Pascal and still be good because Pascal is a lot of the problem. Defense, for example. In some ways, it's like it's tough to be the guy and carry the team. And it's in some ways he's turning into kind of like DeMar. The DeMar in some ways came the same way. He was like, we love DeMar. He's so incredible. He does so much for us, but we see where he's holding us back. We see where his issues are a problem for our team. And it's hard to say that, okay, Siakam's just not a good defender like we did with DeMar. He is a good defender, but there's other things that are lacking in him as being a franchise player or the number one guy. And this is part of the reason why the people inside the NBA, like Charles Barkley, have a hard time putting the superstar label on him, is because maybe he has the stats. Maybe he has certain stuff that he puts in a category with Luka and Giannis, but he doesn't have certain intangibles and important things that those guys have also. And some of it is closing stuff. Some of it is like all absolute superstar stuff. Like, I'm carrying this team in this stretch of the game because I recognize that this team needs carrying right now, and I'm going to do it in an effective way. Where it's like the game recently where they said, "Oh, Siakam is like the TTC. The Raptors are riding him in this game to score points." Yeah, he did that for that period, and I love that period of time. It's like, wow, they're actually using Siakam is being the man, and he's carrying water, and he's being dominant, and he's carrying us right now. That's what I want to see. More periods of time like that. He should have at least a period of 5 minutes in every single game that they play in, and he scores and rattles off like 6 or 8 points really easy, quickly. Like, he should always have that kind of stuff happening in games. And quite often he's not consistent enough to just take over for like a 5 minute stretch of the game. He's just not consistent in within those 5 minutes. He'll make like maybe one or two, but then he'll miss the next two or something. So that's what I'm saying. I want him to be dominant. I want him to show up and be like, I'm the best player on this court, and I'm going to show y'all. This is Jordan kind of shit. Let's see. All right, let's see. Blackhawks saying we have to have a minimum of 3 7-footers on our team, as well as a mixture of 4 power forward centers, which are pretty good with the power forward center. I've always thought that a good NBA team would have 3 centers on it. This was historically the case when I was a kid watching the NBA in the 80s and the 90s. Every single team had at least 3 7-footers on the team. You had your starting center, your backup center, and then you had your third center that was stashed away as a project to build up within your system to come up. Well, at some point, the people just decided this is a centerless league and we don't need them anymore. Well, I agree with this. I think that having 7-footers on your team is smart. And then if you can have 3 rostered 7-footers on your team, that's good. And in the power forward centers aren't as important in some ways. In some ways, having just power forwards, like, that's fine. But if having at least 2 centers on the team, 2 7-foot guys that play center, is smart. And we got one, Koloko. So now we need a second one. And the second one should probably be a guy who's ahead of him in the depth chart, just because we need something sooner than later. And we need somebody to step in right away and start doing center stuff so that Koloko can learn underneath him and eventually supplant him and be that guy. So, oh my gosh. Omari's saying Cauldron is Kessel in German. Yeah, we're learning we learn all kinds of stuff on this. We're getting German lessons now. We don't just get Italian lessons on this channel. Now we're getting German lessons. Yeah, Cauldron is Kessel in German. That's interesting. I don't know if that's totally true. Somebody could fact check that maybe. Guardian Transit saying we have a problem. Cannot continue basically playing the starters those type of minutes. Get Masai Ujiri on the phone and have a chat with him. All right. You know what? I will do this. I don't call 2 people in one day, but I'm going to call Masai also right now real quick. I called Nick earlier. It's ringing. You know what? It just went straight to voicemail. I think he's really busy. I don't know. I think obviously he's very busy. I mean, it's getting him on the trade line. All right, yeah. Sorry, Masai. Sorry I didn't catch you. We're just wondering on this channel, the Raptor Freak channel. Can we figure out how to get the numbers or the minutes for the starters to get down? And is Nick Nurse coaching in the way that you really like, Masai? Okay, thank you. Bye. Monique saying, I said it once, I'll say it again. Masai needs to have a meeting with everyone and not just with Scotty. Keep up the great work, Lex. Always support you. Go Raptors. Thank you, Monique. Always supporting you also. I appreciate it. You are part of what fuels my fire to keep going, Monique Lawrence. Yeah, have a meeting with everybody. Sit down with everyone. Just have an organizational meeting. Let's have a team reset right around the All-Star break. Let's get everybody, when they get back from this West Coast trip, at the OVO Center and get them in a big room, Masai, and let's just have a little discussion about the culture of this team, about what's expected, about who we are and what we want to be in the future and what we're trying to do, and really recalibrate and let guys know that this is what's up. Now, maybe you want to do this after a trade or a deal happens, but when there's some sort of thing that happens and it kind of portends that we're making a change or transitioning to something else, that may be a good opportunity with the new people to come in and set the tone for a new kind of thing, and having a big, huge meeting with everybody, all personnel, and talking about it, and get Wayne Embry down there and have Wayne Embry stand up and have us say a couple words to all the youngsters with his vision and his knowledge from all the years around the NBA. We need a pep talk. Maybe y'all need to do one of these trips as a team where you go and do a fun activity, like go to Graceland in Memphis when you go there or something, and go look at Memphis and go do something as a team. Like you went to the Rocky statue or you went to the Tupac Museum. Go do a team activity that makes it fun for them in some ways too. That could help, because usually we see you guys do that kind of stuff on Open Gym, and that is a helpful thing to bring spirits up with the team, even though it's kind of stupid and it's just going somewhere. It sometimes really works when you guys go to the Rocky statue or you go to the Tupac Museum, something like that. Yeah. Let's see. Kareem saying, okay, Lex, what is it that you want come trade deadline or this summer in terms of trades, hires, and fires? I mean, I don't know how to specifically say anything. I will say this. There's certain people that I do not want to go, and I will start with that. Scotty, Precious, Fred, and OG. Now, the guys that I did not say, I will trade them today. Yeah, I'll trade either one of those other two guys. The other guys, I don't want to trade them. I don't want to trade Fred. I don't want to trade OG. I don't want to trade Precious, and I don't want to trade Scotty. You can figure out who those other guys are. Chris, I don't want to trade him either. I don't want to trade Khem Birch either. And people will say, oh, you should trade Khem for sure. No, I do not want to trade Khem, even though we're not using him. But those other guys I didn't mention, yeah, those guys could be traded in the next week. And if there's a really good trade, I won't be upset in some ways. It's not that I don't like Gary. It's just that in some ways his contract situation is making it more likely. And it's not that I don't like Pascal. It's just that in some ways I could see him getting traded for something else that's more helpful to us in some ways could really make a big, huge difference for us. So as far as trades, if we're going to have to fire anybody at the end of the year because things did not go right this year, Bobby Webster. There you go. And then as far as hires, I don't even know where to grasp or even talk about replacement for Bobby Webster or even the trade, what we would get in return for guys that I was just talking about. But as far as I'm concerned and looking at things, that's where I would look at those things if we're going to do anything. Fun Guy's saying that would be awesome if the Hornets could catch us. In some ways, Fun Guy's like, yeah, go ahead and catch us, Charlotte, because that'll help our ping pong balls and that'll help our draft. Go ahead, Charlotte. You want to catch up to us, LaMelo and company? Go ahead, Angry Mexican. And your team catches up to us. Hey, no problem. That actually may be good for us. Guardian Transit saying we currently have an 18% chance of the top 2 picks. 36% chance of the top 4. See, these are good odds. These are much better odds than a lot of teams in this league. And you never know. That ping pong and that lottery could really work in our favor again, and we could get a top 4 pick like that. And boom, then we got another caliber player, hopefully like Scotty. And we'll have to see. Scoot. It may be Scoot. And then some people are saying this Rising Stars Challenge, that Scotty and Scoot could be on the same team together to pretend that they will be teammates on the Raptors very soon also. Scoot Henderson, let's see. Maybe he will be a Raptor next year. We'll have to see. Monique saying, take advantage of these weaker teams and win most games every month. We need to have a winning month this month. In February 2023, we need to have a winning month. We have not had a winning month in a couple months now. and we need to have a winning record for this month. This schedule is too easy this month. If we don't have a winning record at the end of February, we are fucked. We are such a bad team then. I will officially say we're a very bad team if we cannot have a winning record in February. It's really bad. Denial saying if management doesn't believe in playing and we say trust in Masai, then why do we still want to win games right now? Nurse isn't developing the bench. It doesn't happen in practice. It's in games. It's partly that you just want to keep the reps up of the way you want to play is to win, and you want to play in winning ways. That's a really important part of keeping the culture, even if you're tanking on the down low or you're tanking just naturally because you're just losing. So it's really important to put that all out effort and just try, even if it's futile and you're losing just barely at the end of games. And in some ways, I know I get this. That's why I'm saying, why can't you do it all at once, Nick? Develop your young players. You're already losing already. They may give you just as much of a chance to win or lose, just if you're playing more of the bench. And once again, we say the added benefit is you're not overworking Pascal, where he looks like he's so tired and exhausted. You get these other guys and manage the game a little bit better with minutes and your rotation and losing still, or even trying to win. You got to just do it in a better way all around. It's not good what you're doing, Nick. And it's not helping us either in developing the bench or winning. And that's the problem here. You got to figure it out and at least get some success in something, in some area. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to finish up these comments and finish up the day. It's like, 2.5 hours already. Wow. All right, let me see. Where am I? I got to make sure I find the right spot. Okay, Forgetful saying, I don't do balderdash, Lex. I said derived from. Current meaning is something like copper pot maker. It's not that I don't agree with you or trust you. I just I love when people just bring up like definitions because I always think of that game and how much I used to bullshit on that game. No, I don't. I believe you. I believe you, and it makes sense. It makes total sense. I popped into my head Balderdash, the game. I don't know why. Guardian Transit saying no use for Nick to have a bench of young guys. He has no interest in bringing them along. There are always 5 to 10 unsigned players who are pretty good on the cheap to make a bench with. Yeah, I know. This is part of the problem, Nick. You have to become a better bench coach. You're not good with your bench. You're really good at your starters and doing everything with your starters, but you're not doing good things with your bench and your rotation or getting good results from bench players. This is something that is your Achilles heel. This may be the thing that may get you fired down the road. And so if you want to improve and improve your weaknesses, this is your weakness, is using your bench effectively or smartly. So work on it. Maybe this summer you need to read some more books about how to use your bench in development more in whatever specific way. You can find books on that specifically from different people. Read those damn books and really find the value in developing your bench into good bench roles that help you, in role players coming off the bench and roles that help you. We don't have any roles. And that guy honking, he's probably honking at me because I'm yelling so much. All right, let's keep going. Seymour saying, I'm not happy with this year's performance. It's not looking good right now. Mainstream media is pushing out a lot of potential trades. Who goes, who stays. It's amazing how much the Raptors name is in the words of people on TV down south, considering how bad we are. It's just because they're all licking their chops. Like, as far as like, woo, the Raptors got this player, this player, this player. They're talking way more about us this year than they did last year in some ways, because of the situation with people wanting to get our players. It's so fucked up and crazy. Y'all didn't pay any attention to us last year when we were a winning team and you sullied us and ignored us. And now we're losing and we have good assets. You are putting us on blast on ESPN. Fuck all y'all. Fuck all y'all for that shit. It pisses me off. MK saying, is it possible that Masai has looked down because he realizes that Pascal needs to be traded and it's hurting in a deep sense? I'm starting to think a Pascal trade is our best way forward. Wow, that is a take and a half, MK, and I can't disagree with this. Wow, really coming in with a interesting observation. I mean, it is true. Masai looks so depressed and so down and just not happy these days. Maybe it is something like this, that like in some ways he realizes, look, we run it as a family and these guys are like my sons, but it is also still a business and it's not working right now. Maybe he thought We could make it all work with him and we could make this all happen, but it's not happening. The dream is crumbling. And that is part of the reason why. This is interesting, MK, and there could be some truth to this. You may be very much right that this is part of the reason why there's such a melancholy kind of sadness around Masai Ujiri these days. Wow, I didn't even think about it from that aspect. And that you may have hit the nail on the head secretly, and we don't even know it. Seymour saying somebody's on the chopping block. Uh-oh. Somebody is. I mean, that's just how it is. I don't like getting the torches and coming after people like as a mob or something like that. But in some ways, Raptor fans are wanting a sacrifice or blood for how things have gone this season. And in some ways, this is what NBA teams do. When there's a bad season and bad things happen, there's a scapegoat. And there may be very well a scapegoat at the end of the season just because of how things have gone. So we'll have to see how it goes. Fiercely saying, agree with Jimmy Pope. Our defense has been exposed and they all know how to play us. Also, really bothered me to see the same offensive schemes ending up in three-pointers for them. Why couldn't we adjust? Yeah. Well, maybe just because those schemes were so good that we just hadn't figured out how to beat them yet, or I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. If something's working, you want to keep going to the well with it, and they had that working for us. Yeah, I don't know. In some ways, I think our defense is good. I know that may sound crazy with how things are going. It's like when it's working and we're really tuned in and communicating, it's very good. It's just that we have lapses. And then, like I said, this year is just created in a way for offenses to be on octane, like super high octane, funny car fuel, nitro, glycerin. They're like on nitro gas. It's so crazy, the scoring and just how boosted it is at this point. And part of it is how the refs are not calling calls with contact at this point in the league. So there's a lot to it. It's not so simple that our defense has been just totally exposed. We haven't played it well consistently, sure, but our defense is actually really good when it's working and communicating. But also the league is making it hard for a defense like ours to be effective also around everything with the rule changes and the way that offenses are rising up. Denial saying our defense is stupid. That's why I feel like every team has super high 3-point shots against us. The scramble defense just isn't it. We always are just overcompensate and leave guys open. This will be something that they go to the drawing board about this offseason. It could be that we completely change our defense or in that rotation thing that you're talking about. The reason why they do this is, all right, they want to be the aggressor on defense. So they want to come with the double team at the person with the ball at the top of the key as quickly as possible because it initiates them having to pass and move the ball around. Well, in some ways, be careful what you ask for, Raptors defense, because you're initiating the pass into like a quick pass, boom, open guy in the corner hitting a three. And in some ways, there's a lot of fans, Nick Nurse, that want you to use the extremely good, gifted, talented defenders on our team in one-on-one stay-at-home situations where they're not doubling and running all over the place. Just stay at home and play them straight up. And we may actually do better defensively. And it may be that this summer they're going to do something and they change things. And next year it may be different. And we may not have a lot of these problems that we're talking about right now, as far as with the threes going down all the time. It's funny. He said our defense is stupid. That's pretty funny. Nameless is saying that's exactly why the Leafs got so good quickly. They recognized the offensive trajectory of the league much more sooner than the teams around them. You're so right. You don't even know it. Thank you, Nameless. I am just stupid genius. No, I mean, you can just tell the way people are talking about the way that offensive efficiency is so high all around the league. It's like our team is really good offensively. Like 5 years ago, it would dominate the league, but the league has changed and adjusted. And now it's just like a mediocre to not as good as most of the teams in the league on offense. But our offensive efficiency in the place of like our team 5 years ago, we would be at the top of the league as one of the best offensive leagues in the league, offensive teams in the league. It's crazy how it's changed. And I like this. This is interesting. So you're seeing the trend with the Maple Leafs in the NHL that they got ahead of this curve in this way. Well, hopefully Masai and Bobby can adjust, and it's an easy pivot to, because in some ways our versatility with our 6'9" is actually does allow us to pivot with different looks, with just kind of guys we add at this point and kind of add to the whole flavor of it. in some ways they don't take away, and they're real easy. They're like a build on this very versatile. You can add anything to it and make it different very quickly. So in some ways, a rebuild for us is not a complete teardown because we have these versatile guys. It's just adding guys that can fill these roles. A true center is number one. Uh, let's see. Monique saying, thank you, Carlo and Tom. I'm not a part of the Raptors show with Will Lou anymore. More pages, thousands of negative there. Oh, wow. So you're not following Will Lou and watching the Raptors show anymore. I know that Will Lou kind of ticks you off sometimes because of the way he treats the team. But yeah, that's too bad. I don't like to hear that. That's a good show. I still endorse it, and I think it's good with Blake Murphy and different people popping on there. CJ Miles has been appearing on it a lot lately. That's too bad. That's too bad, Monique. Well, maybe when we get back to a winning side of things, the Raptors show will be more fun to watch again when the Raptors are doing well. Mike's here, logical Raptors fanatic, making in after all. We're still on, and he got in here on time. Salute Real Ones, Project Truth always. Good effort, tough one. We got more data against the 7-foot front court. We need to work on it. More crunch time development for a lot of guys this game. Banton's minutes. Yeah, I'm with you on a lot of that, Mike. Way more looks at like 7-footers, 3 of them. And yeah, what we need to figure it out. Now, in some ways, like I said, Fred getting in there was so hero kind of like just mixing it up, making the layups, getting the rebounds. And, guys like Precious, Scotty, Koloko, they need to get that kind of physicality and that kind of fight with guys like Kessler and Olnick down near the basket. That's really good for Scotty because he's seeing like, oh, that might piss him off. And we saw a fire light in him when Kessler kind of challenged them a lot near the basket at the beginning of the game. Scotty got more motivated. He got more upset, and he came at them twice as hard the second time. So, yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it right there. I love that. And once again, Koloko dunking the ball at that moment was really good. He didn't settle for trying to just lay it up. He went up strong and made sure it went down. And that's what I want more from the Raptors. Don't leave it up to chance. Make it happen. Make sure it happens. No doubt that it's going to happen. That's what I want from you, SIAKAM. Make sure it happens. The greats do that. Denal saying we need to get rid of Wancho as well. 9 out of 10, he doesn't shoot. And that one time he does, it's a 90% chance to miss. He isn't a threat teams pay attention to, so he doesn't space the floor really. Well, I don't want to talk about Wancho today because he didn't play last night. So there's no real reason to talk about him. And, there's things about him that I really like. So I won't sue him like you are, Denal, but I won't disagree with some of what you're saying. I don't think we should. He's not that important to be like, oh, we need to get rid of him or keep him. It's going to happen naturally. It's like if we keep him, that's great. If we don't, we don't. It's just kind of like that. I think we're not using him as a 3-point shooter correctly either. That this is part of the problem too. Is like we could put this in the pile of not using the bench correctly. Well, Wancho's a good example of a player that Nick's not using offensively in the correct way at all. And that's part of the problem. Whether it's like setting up offensive sets where he can cut to the basket a lot and get found, or just setting him up with some 3-point shots. I know that he's not supposed to get any plays called for him, but he still could be like used in like surprise sets to set him up to get an open shot somehow, some way. But maybe they just don't have any confidence in him and his outside shot. They should though, because he's a good shooter. And he's just not getting the chances, that's why we're not seeing it. Mike's saying we're testing a theory and learning the things that are the weaknesses and looking to improve and fix those areas. It's a process, and the front office isn't locked into anything. They draft and bring guys to develop. Yeah, I think that's a good perspective to keep that Mike's saying as far as like we're testing things and we're not having success. There's failures, and that is what will lead us to change and make adjustments, hopefully for the better. Omari's saying that was the fact check. That was the fact check. Blackhawk saying get Cousins to mentor Koloko. Get DeMarcus Cousins and bring in Boogie Cousins to the team. I've been consistently saying for like 5 years, I do not want Cousins on our team. And he's just older now. In some ways, I don't know. I don't know if he's the right mentor. I think we've got good mentors for him on this team already. Thad Young. But we do need the center, is what you're saying. And that is why you get DeMarcus Cousins. Although he's not a player that I've ever wanted on our team for character reasons. Denal's saying logical. We bring people to develop and have a coach that won't play them Practice is one thing. You learn the best in games. Yanking people as soon as they make a mistake destroys confidence. Frustrating. Well, he's just not even giving them a chance. It's not even that he yanks them when they make a mistake. Sure, he does that sometimes, but he's just not even getting them in there. It's like, he's not even giving them a chance. Monique saying Cousins is too boneheaded. Sorry. Yeah, see, she's with me on this one. So we kind of have the same identity with certain players. And in some ways, Cousins is like a bigger Draymond Green. And we don't want a Draymond Green in certain ways. Logical saying denial is a process, and a developing culture, winning culture are the keys. I'm going to talk on it with clear examples this weekend. There's behind the scenes things happening. Game minutes are the reward. Yeah, okay. So this is why Nick plays the bench. So the bench doesn't do good enough. They don't get rewarded to get to play. It's still stupid. It's still not smart. And like I said, Nick, read some books on how to develop your bench this summer. Read some books by, I don't know, John Wooden or somebody. Maybe somebody has a book out there that's specifically about how to get your reserves to be better. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's out there. Find it and read it. Just get some more information on this, Nick, because this is a very big. As much as Dwayne Casey did not adjust in game during the playoffs, you not being able to use your bench may be the thing that gets you sent out of Toronto. That's what I'm saying. Casey had to go because he hit his head on the ceiling in the playoffs. And what he could do, well, we may be seeing you hit your head on what you can do with the bench. It's not a lot, and that really hurts us. That really hurts. Let's see. Rest in peace, Fred Marmot. Groundhog's Day is postponed. Yeah, he saw his shadow this morning, apparently. Groundhog's Day today, 2023. All right, let's see. I'm going to finish up these comments and we'll get out of here. I want to get out of here before 3 hours. Seymour saying, did you know we won the draft that had Iverson, and the league has a rule that an expansion team can't win the draft, so we got screwed then? Probably get screwed again in the near future. No, I did know that we won that draft, the lottery, and we had to draft Camby that year because we could not get the first pick and take Iverson. So we picked Camby, and it wasn't even the second pick either. It was like the third or fourth pick, I think, that we took Camby. But yeah, there was a rule against the Grizzlies and the Raptors getting the first pick in the draft because we're expansion teams, and it was part of the deal for us to be in the league. And it's really kind of stupid because they expect us to be one of the losing teams. So we do have a high percentage to get the number one pick. But they didn't want us to be that good that quick. And yeah, we could have had Allen Iverson on our team. That we were supposed to draft him. Yep. Woulda, coulda, shoulda is as it is. We can't cry over spilled milk at this point. It's way long time ago since then. Denial saying, then it isn't fair for everyone to rag on the bench at Logical, especially when guys need to be developed and aren't actually being developed. We made mistakes in practice, but learn more in games. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just, once again, I disagree with how Nick Nurse handles our bench completely right now. I really do. Blackhawks saying, newsflash, Raptors chew up the Rockets tomorrow and we end the road trip 3-3. Well, there's one more game after that, and it's in Memphis. So hopefully we can be 4-3 still at the end of this trip. It's not totally out of the question that we can't have a winning record at the end of this trip. It's just we got to win these last two games. Monique saying, did anyone see Scoot on NBA Game Time last night? No, I did not. Let's see. Nameless is saying, I think Nick is still coaching to win, but at some point he's got to have some sort of epiphany and incorporate some developmental strategies as well. Yeah, well, they're definitely playing to win. They're always going to do that. That's his sworn thing, his duty to the Raptors is to give us the best chance to win every night on the court as the coach. And he's going to have to keep trying to do that. But you know what the funny thing is? I don't think he realizes that by using his bench and getting more out of his bench is actually the best way for him to win. And he's hurting himself from getting that by not fucking doing things the correct way with his bench. And that's the funny, ironic thing about it. He thinks what he's doing is giving him the best chance to win, but the opposite of what he's doing would actually give him a better chance to win. Mike saying the denial. I don't rag on the bench, but it's in part those bench guys need to play up to a certain standard with the younger core and starters, and the margin for those bench guys are tight at the moment. Different team at the moment. Mike, I'll agree with this to a degree. Sure, you want excellence, but there are ways to coach bench, and they can have deficiencies, and you can cover them up and still play them. It's just you got to be creative and figuring out the right combinations of how you can cover up a defensive weakness for this bench player. All right, well, you have to play him with these other guys that will cover it up. It's that kind of stuff. If there's not enough offensive firepower, well, then put them out there with Gary Trent Jr. and Pascal and 3 bench guys. It really is mixing them up. The problem I have is, once again, Nick puts too many bench guys out there all at once and just designates a certain period of the game as this is the bench time with like one of the starters. And we usually, quite often, we fuck up and we don't do very well at that time. This worked back in the day with the bench mob because the bench mob was really sound, and you could put the whole unit of the bench in and they would actually increase our lead and make us better. And there were times last year where our bench would come in and increase our lead and make us better. But that's not happening this year. But there are ways he could do this and ways that he can hide the deficiencies of these players in the course of the game over different periods of time. Like, he's doing it in really key moments. It's almost like he's too predictable. The other team knows that, all right, he's going to do a sub for the beginning of the fourth quarter where he's going to have more of the bench playing at this time. Like, they know his pattern of substitution at this point because it's very rigid and the same all the time. And that's what I'm saying. In some ways, he could be more creative with how he rotates it and keep them guessing. And then also, maybe he may find through that experimentation some really good success that he can go in direction of and do more of. And that's the thing. He's not being creative enough with his rotations, when they happen, who it's happening with, what the timing, and when, like, the mix, the percentage of starters with the bench on each given squad that's out there. It needs to be a balance, and there needs to be at least 2 starters on the court at all times. So it's a logic puzzle, Nick. I give you the rules, you figure it all out, and you work it all out like a Sudoku, where how can it fit so that it'll be maximizing the best of all these things. And that's what I'm saying. You cannot ever have 4 bench guys on the court at the same time. That's a fuck up. If you ask me, you can have 3, but you better have 2 of the starters out there with them. And then you stagger it all over the whole course of the game so that this quality is the same all the way through the whole game. And you can figure this out, Nick. It's fun to do logic puzzles. Just figure it out. You can get it right. You're smarter than all this. You're acting real dumb with the way you use your team. Let's see. Danel's saying, not you directly, Logical. I know you don't. I meant people in general. You need to toss guys into the fire to bridge the gap. Can't run starters into the ground. Starters get hurt. Bench can't keep up now. I know you're fucked because you have no backup plan, because you didn't make a backup plan. You put everything into your first plan, and you have no backup plan to come in and save you afterwards. That's the fucked up thing. Maybe Khem Birch is that backup plan. He's just not using them. Nameless is saying, I just wonder if it's even worth it to trade Pascal at all, because I know teams are going to lowball us and we'll never truly be able to recover full value. I don't know. There's no telling. I mean, in some ways, I don't know. I don't know what the packages are with him or what would entail. I would not worry about making up what Pascal does as much as I would be worried about making up what OG does. That in some ways, OG is a more complete player than Pascal in some ways. And then in some ways, if we didn't, we could get OG possibly to just step in and be Pascal if Pascal gets traded, because we've seen him do about the same amount of offensive output when he was hurt earlier this season. That OG was able to do pretty much a lot of the same things that Pascal does in scoring. When he was not out there. So that's what that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. Monique's saying, Blackhawk, we played Grizzlies. Don't forget that. Yep. We got 2 more games still in this trip. All right, let's see. Mike's saying it's the natural team growing pains. It's part of what happens with team progression over time. The plan this summer was to push through most of that period, but the injuries delayed things. We're pushing on. Yeah. Well, this year has been a failure. And we're going to have to figure out where we go from here and what adjustments we need to do to make our team way better for next year. Because I want our team to be a very good team next year. We can't have a couple of years in a row where we're like this. This is not good. We're going to have to fix things. And it's going to have to be with the front office getting better personnel and making better decisions, making deals, doing whatever. It's going to be with Nick Nurse going to the drawing board and changing his coaching strategies for next year. Maybe you throw a bunch of shit out that you've been doing this year and start totally new with some new stuff and try and get things fresh in those kind of ways. That's what I'm saying. New personnel from the front office, and then those guys, and then the individual players need to go and work on specific skills that they know will be very important or helpful to help the team win in the off season. That a lot of the work on their skills and their game is done in the summer. and that hopefully they can do stuff like Pascal gets better at his 3-point shooting, even more better. Scotty does this in the offseason to get better in this way in the low post. That's the kind of stuff we're gonna have to do this offseason to improve things and get things better. Let's see. Monique saying, MK saying Scotty and Scoot were on the same Rising Stars team last year. I've been calling for Scoot and Scotty for more than a year now. Never thought it was possible, but destiny is destiny. Yeah, it's very possible, especially the way we're winning this year. Monique saying Bobby doing the pregame walkthrough last night. Masai has to do it now. I'll go Raptors effort. Raptors free community staying strong forever. Right on, Monique. I believe in that, and I appreciate that. I'll try my damnedest to keep this thing going for a long, long time. I don't know forever, but as long as I can. Let's see. Bobby was in the pictures coming into the game, like the fit camera. I don't know why they did his picture on there. It is what it is. Masai's been in it before. I've seen Masai walk in and get his picture taken like that a long time ago, not recently, but I'm pretty sure I've seen him do it too. Yeah, it's not normal that we see the front office and the player walk in. Mike saying, I talked on the expansion rules for the Canadian teams. Yeah, the Grizzlies got screwed harder by that rule, not gonna lie, and it killed their organization. Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to watch the Grizzly Truth. It's on Crave. I'll probably watch it this weekend. I'm gonna probably get a chance to watch it this weekend. G's saying something else to consider: the weight of their friends, like OG being traded based on their winning, may be affecting their game. Specifically, Siakam. No, it's a business, but that must weigh on him. Oh, for sure. Like seriously, they're like friends. They're like brothers. They're family. Yeah, they know that their performance can dictate whether they all stay together or not. And that is part of compounding the sadness of losing, is that in some ways they may feel like, if I just played better, this wouldn't have happened and this person wouldn't have got traded and we wouldn't be saying goodbye to them. Yeah, there could very well be part of the factoring in this, but they shouldn't be reacting to something that hasn't happened already. They shouldn't be premeditating failure in that way either. They should just be going and making sure it doesn't happen by executing. And that's the thing. If they're already worried about this or getting sad about this, they've already fucked up and lost. They need to control their destiny by saying, I'm not going to let this happen because I'm going to play so well. Rorschach test is here. Good to see Rorschach. What scares me about Alonzo trade is not his knee. It's his father sitting in the stands. Bravo. Touche. Good stuff. Rorschach test. Hilarious shot at LeVar Ball. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I don't want to have anything to do with the Ball family just in general. Yeah, and I don't like that deal at all. I don't like that deal at all. In fact, in some ways, I'd rather get Alex Caruso than Lonzo Ball. And then the deal has to be kind of different. It has to be way different, way different. Maybe Patrick Williams with Alex Caruso instead of Kobe White and Lonzo Ball. I don't know. I don't even want to do a deal with Chicago. But if Fred is going to go somewhere else, I'd like him to go to the Bulls just because that's a great place for him because it's his home. But otherwise, I don't want him going anywhere else. Name is saying, yeah, great point, Lex. Nick is in a catch-22 with his coaching. Wow, the things we learn in these chats are crazy. Learning Masai may be upset about Siakam situation is worth the price of admission alone. All right, Nameless. Well, I'm glad that you find a lot of value in our kibitzing on this channel and the live stream every morning. It's true. A lot of the stuff that I say during these hours that we're on here, I don't have pre-planned. Like I don't have some of the stuff that I said, I didn't know I was going to say until I said it just now. And it's kind of like a free flow of just like, well, wow, wait, that doesn't make sense. So we got to come to this logical conclusion. So, wow, I appreciate that. And yeah, I think there's true. We've kind of like dug around and we may be seeing part of the reasons why Siakam is dealing with what he's dealing with right now. To be fair to him, I really love you, Pascal. I think you're one of the greatest Raptors of all time. And my criticism really is because I want to see you get through this and make everything okay. That in some ways you have that power, Pascal. You just got to do it. Let's see. Mike saying thought food is plenty, and Tom Duke got the real food on lock. All right. Yeah, Tom's working. Obviously, he's not participating right now, but he'll come back and review the stream later and put in the chapters. All right, let me go through the last couple of things that I wanted to see. The groundhog did see his shadow this morning. That's unfortunate. Hopefully, it's just all bullshit and it just gets warmer anyway. The Cleveland Charge are in Mississauga tonight to play the Raptors 905 at 7:30. Our referees for that game tonight are Tyler Ricks, Kelsey Reynolds, and Nate Anderson. So check out the Cleveland Charge tonight with Jeff Doughton Jr. and Ron Harper Jr. there and available. Just a real quick overview recap of the Raptors versus the Jazz last night. Fantastic game by Fred VanVleet in the land of the Giants, finishing with crazy layups, a triple-double, 12 rebounds, 34 points, 10 assists. Just fantastic stuff by Fred, showing us a little bit of everything that he does so well for us as far as leadership, late threes that are important, and then just keeping the team going during and throughout the game. Scotty Barnes, very aggressive, very energetic, very fire. He's on a pogo stick trying to get rebounds and bouncing around with those 7-footers. Really good effort, 14 rebounds, 9 offensive, 18 points, 7 and 23 from the field, though. Could have shot a little better, but otherwise a great effort by Scotty all around. And then Chris Boucher off the bench, 7 and 9 from the field. He hit a 3, 5 rebounds, 16 points. Just really good at getting in the lanes in transition and finishing with those dunks. I really love seeing Chris get those easy dunks. Gary, good job, 6 of 14, 3 of 4 from three-point range, 20 points, 3 steals. Precious, 6 of 8, 13 points, 6 rebounds. No problem with Precious for the most part. I wish he had played more. In fact, there was periods of time in the game last night he should have been on the court and he wasn't. And Nick kind of fucked up when he did that. SIAKAM, tough game, just under 40 minutes. He would have played 40 minutes if he didn't foul out. 21 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. He did have 3 turnovers, and he did shoot 50% at the free throw line. So, yeah, SIAKAM, I got to point a finger at you for last night in some ways. And on the rest of the bench, guys, nothing too spectacular or special. Thad Young had 3 steals once again, though. I do want to point that out. Some people have been critical of Thad, and they're like, why the fuck is he even on this team? Well, the dude comes out and he does really amazing things. Like, in fact, in the stretch he came out, he hit that one running little hook, and then he had a steal, and then he had a nice setup, too, for other players. So he's making winning plays in 14 minutes out there with 3 steals. I really like that. Koloko had that nice dunk. He went up strong. I really, really was impressed with that. That made me happy to see Koloko going up strong. And then Malachi, it was whatever. I barely noticed he played. And then Banton, he didn't do anything really, but he was a +3 off the bench, and he kind of gave a pep to us, and we started coming back when Delano Banton came in the first half. So, yeah, the other side, very impressed with their rookie center. Obviously, he's something else, 17 and 14 for Kessler. Lauri Markkanen, wow, 28 points, 13 rebounds, a perfect 10 of 10 at the free throw line. Really, really good, solid franchise player for them. And then, other guys on that team that were impressive to me, Malik Beasley off the bench, getting 4 3-pointers was huge. Colin Sexton, understated game, but he did have a factor in certain ways. Reggie Gay, just very little, but he did provide important leadership in some ways. Jordan Clarkson, huge 3 daggers late. Really, really impressed by that. And then Kelly Olynyk, he didn't play a whole lot of the game, but he was the highest plus-minus on that team. And that kind of shows something about him in like the spirit of the Jazz being big and physical. That really was the keys to the game last night. Them being big and physical really hurt us. So, yeah. All right, Nameless Sam. This is a dub stream, Lex. If you had a collection of classics, this is one, like a best of. All right, cool. We're going to have Tom Duke carry the torch when you can't. All right, guys. I appreciate it, y'all. I really, really do. Let's have a great Thursday. Have a great day today. Watch the Cleveland Charge against the Raptors 905 tonight. Should be a good game. Hopefully they win. And then tomorrow we're going to be in Houston to play the Rockets. I'll have the preview in the morning. I appreciate every single one of you. Who cares if that groundhog saw a shadow or not? We're going to make this spring no matter what. Who cares if we're losing right now? We're going to make us start winning no matter what, whether it's a deal, whether it's something's going to have to give. And it's going to happen soon. Trust me. The way that this team's playing is unacceptable, and nobody likes it. And we are going to make a change. Trust me. It's going to happen. In some ways, I thought, well, we could cruise through this and right the ship without making any changes. But I'm starting to lose faith in that, and that we do need to make some sort of deal and have some sort of new blood or newness to the team. To hopefully get us more W's soon. All right, y'all. Have a great day. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share if you enjoy my channel. I will be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Have a great Thursday, and keep it up, Raptors, to get towards winning again. So let's grow Raptors to get to wins, and then let's Go Raptors!